Yo, hello. Okay, everyone, how's it going? Hi, Crucible, Hokkaido Bear, Amols, Samu, Xanimus. Everyone else is here. Hope everyone's doing fine. We have an hour to go, right, for the PoE stream? If I'm not mistaken. Let's go. Hi. It was your only sus of the day. It's fine, you can be sus if you want. It's funny. I do have to say though, I'm really in the mood to play some more Rogue again at some point. Been too long. Hi Anspan. Yes, I will get back to you. Sorry about that. I'll make sure that you get yours. Yeah, sorry. I need to ask Blood actually what's up with that. And what is the player count we have here? 3, okay. Hell. Not terrible actually. But I need a key, that's why we're here. You guys still blasting D2? Who's still playing D2, guys? I guess it's like slowly fading now that PoE and stuff is coming.
What can I do for you?
Oops. That's one more. Making a sword before finding a key. Yeah, soon I'm gonna craft up my runes, man. I've been stuck here for like multiple evenings now, it's actually wild. I have 2 keys, I need 1 more. Wanna at least, you know, get to the sanctuary and then we're gonna be stuck in the next key prison. But I guess it's like way less of an issue. Damn, if that rest is a bit higher or something, or that life. Oh, expansion in 5 hours. Oh, it's actually launching today? I didn't realize. I know there was like pre-patch and everything. Wait, it's the first day, no? They're launching on a first day? That counts the worst for keys. Yeah, I mean, my luck has certainly been terrible. I think this was the same on like my other character as well when I found the keys. It was horrible, man. Wait, I see the explosion here. Where's the what's? Oh. Early access reset ports on March 2nd. Okay. But okay, but it is the actual expansion, like you can go and do the new stuff and whatever, right? So it's 4 days. Okay, that's like pretty typical Blizzard stuff, right? They always do 4 days. So you basically get like 1 extra reset as well, like, you know, 1 week of like Mythic Plus and whatever. It's pre-season, no M plus or raids. Okay. Alright, I guess you still get to like complete all the quests and whatnot, right? Okay, but you don't actually lose a reset. That's, I guess, not that bad. Unless you like really try hard. Like for example, when D4 came out, they had this 4-day early access, and that wasn't just a full game, right? So that's definitely a bit different. What build is this? This is Echoing Strike. Very fun build, actually. Can recommend. You can find it on Maxroll if you look for guides there. Oh, here's a guy. Maybe not. He just made a build, haven't tried yet. I find it very fun, it's one of my favorites on the Warlock. This and the Fire I like a lot. So eventually I would like to respec the Fire again. But I'll play this build until I kill Ubers, and then I'll probably spec Fire again. And maybe try the Farmer's Thunder, but yeah, we'll see like how much time I'll have now and how far I will get with all my stuff, yeah. Seems like the Thunders are pretty hard to get, and there's 6 different ones as well, right? So it's kinda tough, I suppose. Oh. One is cursed here. You like fire, but it's so much immunity. Yeah. Yeah, like when you have Terror zones and then you like just skip the shitty zones, I guess that's okay. Like playing through the axe is kind of tough because there's a lot of like mandatory fire immunes you have to deal with. But then you can like kind of play around that, right, later. And then eventually have this under and you're fine. I wonder if I should do a little bit more decks. I have 28 block chance out of 47 right now. I'm level 83. Not sure how much it goes up with levels, but I guess I'm probably missing a little bit decks. But you're also gonna get like Torch, I guess, that has all stats. I wanna check that fill actually. 5 sockets. I don't wanna keep that actually. Close. Oh, there it is. We're free. Didn't take that long today. Holy. Okay, let's get out of here. Hey, Monkus. How to get Sunners? I would say non-existent. Is it really that crazy? Damn. Okay, that 5 socket flail could be useful. So let's just put it here somewhere. Freedom, yeah. Holy, we got 3 keys. Okay, do I go players 8 again? Let's see how players 8 will feel, actually. So I think I can continue from the outer cloister now. What do I have? Yeah, I have outer cloister, and we've done... Okay, blood dream, whatever. Okay. Yo, thanks for the sub, by the way. Killbot. Appreciate it. No, the right path right away. Where do I see it? Seems like P8 is maybe a little bit tanky. It's like P4 or so. I mean, maybe like Giga Overload. I'm 83, man. I'm almost the same level as my other guys that have done the Ubers and, you know, I farmed Terra Zones and whatever. And here I'm in fucking Act 1, man. Let's go. And we still have to farm 2 more key sets from Summoner and stuff, so I guess players 4 is okay. It's like times 2.5, right? What is like a good item to actually use my Charsey enchant on? Circlets or something? Should I just like YOLO circlets at some point or something like that? I'm not sure. I think for Mono there's no need to go above player 7. Ah, it stops at 7? Interesting. I didn't know that actually. I mean, more loot is nice, but also just in general, like, you know, I have a lot of power and then you get more XP and like more loot and stuff. So I kind of try to find like a sweet spot, I guess, where you don't really slow down too much. Boy. Oh, actually, he can also have the, actually I could get this guy instead of Hephaestus, I think. It's like a bit harder to get this, I guess. But I could get this guy, he has Holy Freeze. Does he also always have an aura on Hell, or is that random? No, it's random, right? Because you can have Curse, like Holy Freeze and Curse, that would be kinda nice. AJ Rockets? We increase that 3, 5, and 7. Okay, then we're gonna do players 3, I think. What about Butcher? I mean, this is kind of the Butcher in this game, I guess. I'm at 79% enhanced defense. That's a lot of defense. I guess Catacombs you want to waypoint, not here. I wonder if you can contain Butcher in expansion on Warlock. Holy. No. These guys actually don't seem so threatening when you have 68 lightning rests. Actually, is it lightning or cold they're shooting? Could be kinda either. Oh, we're not able to turn demons, so Giga annoying doing that spawn camping from PoE 2 for an elite. Yeah. I'm actually surprised that they put Spectres into PoE 2. I did not expect that. Because, you know, it's like this one skill for like, you know, this like very particular like fantasy and stuff, and it's like so much effort, right? It's like 50 times more effort than any other skill you could make. So I'm kind of surprised to see that they brought it back. PoE 1 or 2 news? It's PoE 1 actually, it's 3.28, right? I actually barely played the new Breach League with the tree and stuff. I hope that that's gonna be exciting. It's also kind of nice timing now. I might log into PoE a little bit. No, the inspectors are tame beasts, yikes, and it already has so many issues. Yeah, true. I guess Spectres are actually like the simpler of the two, right? Beast has like all of these like modifiers and stuff that it can get. New League was kind of weak. I mean, like the Breach one. Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna change it, because I think people were generally unhappy with like how they changed Breach. Like they tried to make like Breach 2.0, but I think it kind of failed. And it would probably be better off like bringing it closer to what it used to be. Yeah. We'll see, I guess. I'd like to do like another like full like Uber run or something in PoE 1, maybe.
What can I do for you?
730 for that cap, wow. Max damage, strength, attack rating. Okay, this could be useful. All these attack rating charms, I'm gonna keep them for now. Actually, get our belt, I guess, with reduce. Good thing is I never need mana pots with this build since I have Insight equipped, which is kind of chilling. Very nice. New Dragonkin multiplier build, that's fantastic. I'm downloading Marathon right now. Ah, yeah, have you tried the multiplier in Dragonkin? Yeah, yesterday, for those that haven't seen it, I was playing Dragonkin and we were hanging out with the devs. And they had like this new big multiplayer update and a bunch of other stuff. I haven't tried the multiplayer myself, but maybe I will. But I definitely want to check out the update a bit more, or maybe like the actual full launch is like sometime next month. It's like mid-March, I think. Can you check my build? Echoing Strike, Warlock on Maxroll. I once built Echoing with hacks, without hacks, with passive, without passive, and so on. I mean, I can show you real quick what I got. So you want to max Echoing Strike, of course. Mirror Blades to get you more echoes. So that's the synergy. And then I have Hex Purge. I did also play the same build of Hex Bane. Both are options here. This is like a bit more single target, this is more AoE. But yeah, you want to have one of these, I guess. And then one in Sigil Lethargy. And then, yeah, here everything is one. And then we get 2 demons, where we sacrifice one, which is the goat. And the bind. And then the rest I just pump into Blood Oath right now, because it makes me tanky. It makes the demon tanky too. If you're talking about passive, Levitation Mastery is pretty weak. So this is not really the way, I think. I think you're better off just like getting tanky through this here. Even like not on hardcore, or do the same. Like you're just gonna get very tanky from this. And then, you know, you can YOLO more and do other like offensive choices maybe. I suppose you want the waypoint here, actually. So let's keep a bottle. Does anyone know if the extra strong buffs the fire enchanted corpse explosion that this guy does? I guess it's like enhanced damage, like it buffs physical damage, I suppose, right? So if this guy shoots fireballs, it probably doesn't matter. But, or maybe it does, I don't know. I'm not sure what extra strong does exactly. I imagine it's physical damage buff though. So this should maybe buff the corpse explosion for the fire enchanted. Open the door. High 7 ups and downs. You just studied our first time. How do you link your very first skill in Warlocks to like number 3 keybind? Okay, so you can open this here, you just click on this and you open the skill menu and then you can just hover your mouse and like here for example I press F and then it just assigns the key like that. And then there's like 2 ways of casting skills, which is I have like quick cast. So I just press the button, you see here I have like the entire bar and then, you know, I press D, it does the teleport, and I press S, it does my shield and so on. Or the other way is like you press that hotkey and then it just swaps whatever as you right click to that. So that you have both, there's an option in the gameplay settings. Extra strong is 150 fizz, yeah okay, so like, if I see an extra strong shaman, I don't care, right? Or like an extra strong painted or something here. But what about the fire enchant? Is that getting boosted? Like the explosion of an extra strong fire enchanted? Like in general, like all these percent buffs, they're all only for physical damage, right? If I see like a fanaticism or might aura guy, and it's like a tainted, I also don't care, right? Fire Enchanter adds bonus fire damage attacks and fireballs and fire res. I know that, but they also explode. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the explosion, which I think is just like a corpse explosion, no? Isn't that the same as a corpse explosion? And corpse explosion is 50-50, I think. Need to change your spec, lol. Oh, there's a friendly mage in Act 1 town that can help you there. Fire Enchanter is scary in general. Yeah, I know that. It's also like a reason to not play too high player count, right? Because if it's Corpse Explosion, it scales with the HP, right? And does more damage when you have high player count. Got a Monka. Okay, we found a waypoint. I'm gonna ask Maxroll, maybe he knows that about Fire Enchant and extra strong. If that actually synergizes. Okay, Andariel time, let's go. Oh. Fire Enchant cast cause when they die. Extra strong would increase that damage. Yeah, so when okay, I guess we can notice if we play Necro and we have enhanced damage on our gear, right? They can have like, I don't know, chest piece, like, I don't know, fortitude or whatever, right? That has enhanced damage. So does that buff Corpse Explosion? Because that should be the same as extra strong, right? Hey, is that actually real? Like physical spells get buffed by enhanced damage? Is it not just attacks? Crazy how they're chunking me, despite this like pretty tanky setup I have, but I guess I have only 1100 life, which is not that high right now. But we're kind of ramping with life as a level. Because I have all my dex and all my strength that I want for now. So now it's just like life ramping as we go up. Great. You get a curse, and you get a curse. Everyone gets a curse. Wow, it's pretty nice, unique neck. With 24 auras. I was thinking about trying to equip that at some point. Okay, full rejuice. Considering the space on the max level of the target. Yeah, I guess it would be kind of OP if we could like scale it for enhanced damage. Even though it's Fizz. It will just like go completely crazy really fast, right? Because I know that increased physical damage taken, or like physical resistance, works, right? You can like do amplify damage, or decrepify, and that actually raises the Colt's explosion damage. So you can like basically one-tap stuff with that. Here we go. Can you wish the default expansion was here already? I want to play the new trees. Yeah, it's soon. It's only 2 months. I mean, that is quite soon. And there's another season in between that, which is kind of wild to think about. Okay, we need a curse on this guy. This is tanky. Okay. Martel de Fer. 1 socket, okay. Lumrun. Okay. It's not bad.
Good evening.
I got one already. Also cool, file them. Okay. Level 2. Wait, what? Wait a second. That is kinda cracked actually. Okay. I kinda wanna use this. Wait, what is the other deck that I had here? This one, 12 to all attributes, 24 res. This is 14 res, so quite a lot less res, but has a math instead. And a teleport on it. That is kinda cool actually. But don't actually have to go for the teleport stuff very much. Now the question is, how much does it cost to repair this? Is it like much costlier than the stuff? 7 charges. Usually a charge is like 2.5k or something, I believe. And this is 27k for 7 charges. Okay, it's just like 3.5k or something. It's not that much more. Unique element is good for smite. I mean, it's just good for everything, no? It just has all stats and all res. I mean, everyone wants that, I guess. It's kind of tempting to go for this neck. The teleport, like without swapping, is kinda nice. The question is, what do I put here? Yeah, I need like call to arms. I'm definitely gonna save the snack. If you have call to arms, then it's gonna use the snack, for example, with the teleport. That's kinda nice. Easy Omerun. I got it on my other guy, but I mean I was probably kinda lucky. But okay, I got an Ohm and a Jar on my other guy. So that was pretty big. I have 1 life. That's fine, we're in town. Yeah, it's the poison. The poison puts you to 1 life. But they don't die from poison, so something else still needs to hit you. Why do I have full regeneration in the shared rather than in the potions tab? I probably just somehow ended up there. It's here 9999. I'm not sure how it went there. Does it just go there when I click? No. I don't know how I got left there. Anyway, let's go. Osman resists, fire, capped, lightning 68. Okay, yeah, we're chilling. It's just poison that sucks, but I mean, poison we can outplay, I guess. Poison's usually not that threatening. Is there actually any, like, poison hit damage in this game, or is it all dot? Is poison hit damage a thing? I like it all. Nobody built a Maxroll D2R? No, I'm not on the D2 team. It was basically all macro this time around with a bit of help from some people. I'm not, you know, I'm not like part of the team there and like doing the build guides and stuff. There's like a lot of like, you know, intricacies with like, you know, which items to put into the builds and like how the template works and all that kind of stuff, so. I was just like helping a little bit, like actually playing Warlock and giving like some insights on like, you know, I tried this as my starter build actually, Echoing Strike. It's kind of interesting actually because it turned out to be such a good build in the end, right? And like a lot of people playing this. And yeah, I was playing this like at day 1 basically and like giving a bit of help there, but that was it. Macro was inspired by my Paladin builds in D4. Nah, it was more like a necessity. Actually, we should have had Theo as well, who was originally also on the D2 Maxroll team. But he was not available, like he's been working and he was busy and stuff and he couldn't really make any time for the launch. But I think like for the next like patches and stuff, like it's gonna be Macro and Theo mostly, that's like, you know, cleaning up everything. There's still a bunch of stuff I think that needs to be done in terms of like updating some of the resource posts and whatever, but I think they got most of it now in good shape. But yeah, we do expect there's gonna be more patches, right? So it's gonna be Macro and Theo, I guess, and yeah, I think Jim is also included. You dislike the design of Miasma change, it's so clunky. Yeah, I didn't like it either. Like, I was actually happy to spec out of this build again, to be honest. Yo, hand sanitizer, nice to see you, thank you. Monster Shrine. Let's do that. Anyone else playing Midnight Early Access launch? I'm sure there's some people. Someone was talking about it earlier, actually. Do we have a WoW channel, actually? On Discord? I think we do, right? I have like a Warcraft channel there, I think. But it's like not really used much, I think. Couldn't tell you. Is there something like you can't leech life from undead, right? And mana? Does mana leech also not work? Both just don't work. Actually, no, I see the mana leech, but I don't see a life leech. Interesting. What the fuck? Why is he so tanky? Okay, I think I wasn't hitting him. Okay, Rodament done. I'm just gonna max this thing out. Blood Oath is so strong. Fuck it. It's gonna make it so tanky, it's gonna be good in hardcore. Shadowman. And it doesn't life can't leech that life. Yeah, it makes sense. You know, it's like a very interesting like RPG feature, right? In something like a game like this. That hey, this is undead, you can't leech life. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah. And honestly, I don't mind these sort of like, you know, strengths and weaknesses that, you know, both players and monsters have. It does make it more interesting. Classic Discord mod duties. You only use Discord for very specific reasons, especially with the current controversy. You mean like this like age verification thing? Is it like such a big deal to people? It's massive. Interesting. Is that like, okay, is like the main concern just like, okay, like is this like security? Like, you know, they might actually leak my my ID somewhere accidentally, or is it like some other reasons? The Americans think everything is a big deal. I mean, I can kind of understand the argument of, hey, okay, I don't want to give them my ID because, you know, maybe there's a data breach or some shit. But from what I read, it's like set up in a way where, you know, they basically don't keep the data at all, right? Like in a way that could be stolen or something. So this seems to be like a very weak argument. So what are other arguments then, I guess? That's a question. Because I don't really see a lot right now. You were straight up going to funnel data into AI companies. Okay, that is kinda Mongo TOS. And then I can understand being upset and stuff. Kite shield. What's that? Paladin, block, resistance. Not bad for level 17 shield, to be honest. It's kinda good. The cleanup broken ties with Peter fail, but I don't believe that at all. Okay. I mean, if they like actually, you know, don't handle that data carefully, then of course, then people should be upset. Oh. Huge. Very good for Ubers, this item. 10 crushing blow, a bunch of damage. Yeah, man, I hope they're gonna eventually do something about like this impersonification and like, you know, other bullshit there. It's a struggle. Okay guys, we're gonna try to get into the Viper Temple before the sun goes dark. Can we do it? You're not gonna kill anything, fuck it. Oh shit, we have this as well. Ah, it was I'd rather be too unlucky, I guess. Oh, great John. Could be huge. Another lumber rune. Okay. %4 magic find, incredible. Thank you. Rogue's bow. Holy. I'm in mood for some rogue actually. Attack speed, damage, and the deadly strike resistance. Wait, what level is this? Level 20, and it's composite 5 to 11 damage. Holy dude. I guess there's some flat damage on some of the skills on Amazon, but still. Yikes. Hi Isha, how's it going? Are we winning? Well, I finally got out of Countess Hell. And now we're completing Act 2, and then we go into Sanctuary Hell. When is the announcement? It's in 20 minutes, right? So it's gonna chill a bit. I guess we're gonna get through basically Act 2 until then. You only have to do the mega player and then the Palace cellar. So we actually almost there. Drops! Holy. Dude, what is this layout? That is insane. When I copy a new evade Warlock build. Oh no. Okay, we did it. Damn, map overlay. Imagine you have that groundbreaking tech in D4. Holy man. Okay, we want to keep these actually. They're gonna come in handy. Okay, where's that mega lair? Anytime you press space while nothing happens is not my usual RPG experience. You're waiting for like a dodge roll. Does Prime no longer provide ad blocking? Get ads and a hard promote turbo as being ad free. Okay, so the typical Twitch ads, they will be off when you have turbo or you're subbed, yeah. I do have like here the banners and stuff in the corner, and sometimes like a pop-up maybe from like the sidekick bot, but it's like relatively like non-intrusive, I think, and only for a few seconds. Besides that, you should not really get anything. So players want for this actually. I'm not really in the mood for big mega lair action. Oh, big soccer worm hide. I like that actually. We put our authority in like a fucking breastplate, man, because I just couldn't find any free soccer chests at all. But I might remake it, I guess. Hell is not that crazy. We'll see. And I think it rolls like 40 to 60 or 30 to 60 enhanced damage, so it's like on the lower end there. That would actually be noticeably a damage upgrade if it rolls higher. Yeah, Prime is just like a normal subscription, but sometimes it doesn't work for some things like the, you know, gift a streamer thing, and you get like a, you know, in-game cosmetic or something. Support a streamer thing, so that is like normally just regular subs. But yeah, otherwise you get the same perks, like the ad free and the emotes and all that. Just the difference is you have to like manually extend your Prime sub every month. And like other subs just get extended automatically, right? Unless you cancel. Yeah, the Twitch pushed ads, maybe try to refresh. I don't know if you have tried reloading or something. I think it can happen that when you sub to someone and you don't refresh, then the ads just keep running until, you know, you load it again or something. Oh, No. It's not good.
Why are you switch?
Yeah, I'll finish this thing here and then I'll switch to PoE, I guess.
Yeah, quickly.
Quickly, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
You don't have anything.
Yeah.
By your strike.
Okay, seriously, what is this layout? It must be this one actually, right next to the entrance, maybe. I wonder if that's that one. Looks like it. No, it's here, okay. Prime gets automatically extended if you get it through the Prime TV thing. Oh, interesting. What am I farming? Nothing, I'm just trying to complete Act 2 right now. I haven't done the campaign yet. I was like stuck in Counter Cell on level 83.5, man. Because I was farming Counters for so long to get my 3 keys for Ubers. That was crazy. Man, I have 68 lightning rods and these guys hurt so much, it's crazy. Like in general, it's like a very tanky build and a very tanky like class and stuff, and it's crazy how much damage I take here from these guys. Okay, this is not it. Why is there no waypoint in Megaland? Wouldn't that be nice, guys? I think there should be a waypoint here. Should be like a terror zone. That'll be crazy. Don't you agree? Because I did a 4-point arcane sanction for a few days trying to get to H keys. Yeah, I did that like on my, like, this is all single player right now, so I can have static maps and I can go to the right one every time. But yeah, like when I found it on online, man, no, Sanctuary is definitely tough. Like Cleanup like is super easy because it's like always the same like 3 layouts. You just need to know them, and then you can go there in like you know half a minute or something. But yeah, like the Arcane Sanctuary, even with teleporting, it's like oof, man. Because on average is like, yeah, 2.5 halves or so, I think you have to explore to find it. Okay, so somehow I managed to chip, okay, especially the priest aura, I guess. I was freezing him, but he didn't take any damage, I was like, what? Okay, so we did it. They're almost in Arcane Sanctuary. Actually, I can just run there. We have 8 minutes to go. It'll take me like 2. Let's get key farm ready, I guess. This is very good. Yo. Sixter. Yo, I also got some bits earlier from JJ. Thanks, guys. Single player where I have map pack and don't get banned. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is I knew I wouldn't have like that much time to play this season now. So I did single player because you have like faster progression if I don't trade. And I figured that would be probably a good idea. So I can farm the keys, do the Ubers. I want to do the Ubers on hardcore, which I've never done. I've only done the Ubers like twice anyway, but we've done it on the Warlock already, so I kind of know how to do it now. And hopefully we don't mess it up. I'm not sure what's going on with the cam today again. Like it just changes the color and like the saturation or something. Like I don't know why. Like I didn't do anything. Yellow Shaco. Unlucky. Okay, we're here. Made it from one hell to the next. Although, Arcane Sanctuary, this should be chill actually. I don't think it's gonna take that long to find the keys here. It's like on average like 1 in 10 keys, 1 in 10 kills you get a key. With like player count. Okay, let's see it. Starting soon. 5 minutes. So let's watch this. Find a bug Elgato into setting me a face cam pro. I actually have a pretty good webcam. This is like the Logitech stream cam it's called. It's like a pretty standard kind of like good value cam that I have. Might be like some weird OBS stuff as well. But yeah, I don't know, like, what's going on? We have drops here, right? Okay. Probably time to go standard camera versus webcam. We could definitely look into some hardware upgrades at some point. Anyway. Hi, Blue Days. This is PoE 1, not PoE 2. PoE 2, I think they said it's gonna be like late April, right? They're gonna have the announcements, so I guess it's gonna be a May launch. Which would make it like after the D4 expansion, which is rough. But on the other hand, I did not expect before the D4 expansion. It would have been ideal if they hadn't like messed up their schedule. It would have been kind of nice with like, you know, kind of like a mid-April launch maybe for PoE 2, play that for like 2 weeks, and then go expansion. That would have been nice. But I guess it's gonna be like the reverse now, which is kind of But yeah, we'll see. Guess I'm playing D2R until May. Well again, dude. I'm gonna speedrun getting a drink. Yeah. Alright. Hey, roll power. Can I make myself smaller? Okay, we can do some stuff.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games. Welcome to GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of Path of Exile Mirage, which is coming out 1 week from now on March 6th. Twitch drops are enabled on today's livestream, so you'll be able to claim your Mirage weapon effect by following the instructions below. Now first things first, let's roll the trailer for Path of Exile Mirage.
Sound is fine. I have ads off, by the way, guys.
The Jinn. They were bound to serve, but not to suffer. The Aphrodite assault our lands, trapping my Jinn in an astral plane. Break their chains, rescue them.
Kill enemies in a circle.
Be granted a wish.
I wish for 3 more bosses to fuck me up.
Ancient evil yearns for his freedom. We must keep him in the dark.
What the Uh-oh. New sign ascendancy. Interesting, interesting. Imbued gems. Okay.
In today's stream, we'll take you on a deep dive into Path of Exile Mirage, where you'll unravel ancient mysteries, unlock new powerful rewards, and become part of the eons-old story of the Winter Sekima. There are also significant in-game changes coming alongside Mirage, including a progression of the in-game storyline, a new in-game Atlas system, and as always, new rewards to match. After that, we want to talk about the slew of new Holy Templar skills and supports, as well as an additional Ascendancy class option added to the Scion, which some of you may find familiar. Next, we'll cover our new support
it doesn't
types,
replace the old one.
And then lastly, have a live Q&A session, where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile Game Director Mark, as well as Game Designer Octavian, your questions from Twitch chat. After the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes at 11 AM NZT or 2 PM PST. So let's get started. I'll hand
that's in
things
2
over to
hours,
Mark
right?
to introduce the new league.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. In Path of Exile Mirage, you'll be taking on the Afarud, a sect of desert-dwelling necromancers who have lingered in the shadows for centuries. They are outcasts of outcasts, with no home or promised land. Instead, they seek their sovereignty through darker means. The Ufarud have captured the souls of Jinn throughout Rayclast. They are killing them, sapping their energies for purposes unknown. You must fight your way past the Ufarud's necromantic creations to find the captive Jinn. Here, Varashta, an ancient Marikith sorceress, has been doing what she can to protect the Jinn, but she needs your help to free them. After successfully defeating them, you will then be asked by Varashta to enter the Astral Realm and break the tether trapping the Jinn there. This gate to the Astral Realm is a mirage, an imperfect copy of the area around the captured Jinn. Now, when we say an imperfect copy, we mean that quite literally. Hold tight, because this leak mechanic has some serious implications for juicing areas. We'll get to that in a moment. Varashta can augment the magic of the mirage further, as she allows you to enter, giving you the option to choose one of 3 wishes before you do so.
What is your desire?
These wishes are modifiers that will apply to the mirage area and have some pretty potent outcomes. There are wishes that grant extra rewards, such as the wish for glyphs, which causes all portal and wisdom scrolls in the mirage to instead drop as other currencies.
Hey, meow.
Or wishes that will spawn rewarding enemies, such as the wish for avarice, which replaces a number of packs in the area with gilded enemies that convert their equipment drops to gold. And wishes that can grant you extreme power while inside the mirage, such as the wish for souls or the wish for godhood, which allow you to consume the souls of your enemies or make you completely unkillable, while within the mirage, of course. Each wish is also marked with the sigil of one of 3 powerful Jinn: the Sand Jinn, Fire Jinn, or Water Jinn. Depending on the sigil chosen, monsters within the affected mirage will have a small chance to drop one of 3 new coin currencies: a coin of knowledge, coin of power, or coin of skill. Each of these coins can be used on a max-leveled skill gem, corrupting it and augmenting it with a random support that matches the color of the coin used.
That's very cool.
Only one skill that is imbued this way can be socketed into a given equipment item at a time,
Oh,
meaning you cannot have 2 imbued skill gems in your body armor, as an example.
Choose what you wish.
That's one of the rewards, but let's get back to the area-to-area mechanic.
For you.
Once you've made your choice of wish, enter the mirage and fight your way through the monsters and astral hazards to find the tether holding the Jinn. Shatter this chain to free the Jinn, step by step weakening whatever dark plans the Ufarud may have for Rayclast. Wishes are not the only value a mirage has to offer to an enterprising exile. As we mentioned earlier, mirages are an imperfect copy of the area the Jinn occupies in Rayclast, and it will copy almost anything, as long as it's
Interesting.
within the domain of the Jinn. Mirages created from an endgame map, for instance, will have all Scarab, Atlas, and map modifiers the area had. Mirages created next to a strongbox will have a new strongbox ready for you to open. Blights can be defended again. Legions
Even the
fought
mirrors.
once more, and so on. Effectively, you get a portion of your map to play a second time, and everything you did to enhance the content of that map applies in the Mirage too. These recreated copies of League mechanics, however, have been warped into reality by the power of the Mirage. And this has some side effects. For one, a recreation may not be perfect. The factions of a legion may differ from the one the Mirage copied. Or, the variety of strongboxes may change. More importantly, the mechanic may be empowered, with new threats and rewards that are customized to each mechanic and are only available when doing that mechanic in the Mirage. For example, Ultimatums recreated in Mirages will have new threatening modifiers added to the usual pool. Restless Ground can raise slain enemies to fight again, or Quicksand will grasp at your ankles. As a reward for these new threats, Mirage Ultimatums can provide the new Sinistral or Dextral Catalysts. These catalyze jewelry with increased effect of either prefix or suffix modifiers. As you can imagine, there's a lot of potential here. Another example is that Kalgurin ore recreated in the Mirage has a chance to be replaced by a Thaumaturgic Hourglass, a powerful magical device that your Kalgurin friends can mine in order to obtain vast quantities of Thaumaturgic dust. Blight encounters recreated in Mirages have one of their lanes replaced by Ufferrude enemies,
Ooh, life buffs,
infested
TD.
with blight. This lane can reward a new base type, the Cord Belt. The implicit of this belt allows it to be anointed, causing it to grant a passive tree notable of your choosing.
That is a very balanced base, I'd say.
As a quick note, Imprisoned Djinn will generally be near the content they can empower in the Mirages, so you don't need to worry too much about getting lucky with where your content generates in an area. As the campaign doesn't generally contain too much additional League content for the Mirages to empower, we've gone and added a whole bunch that will force spawn near the Djinn, so your campaign experience will double down on being more action-packed and rewarding. Now, of course, if you're traveling through Mirages, encountering new enemies,
Creep League,
and
yeah, that
slaying
seems kind of
them,
crazy, man.
you can expect to
The
find
gems,
some new uniques.
the belt.
The Ufferrude are not only torturers, but thieves, and have over the centuries stolen away priceless Maraketh artifacts.
24-hour campaign.
Using their powers of rot and disease, they have twisted these items to suit their own purposes. Flesh Render is one such artifact, an ancient and exquisite Maraketh blade that has been tarnished and befouled. Its rusted and jagged edge is perfect for poisoning and withering your enemies. However, Varashta has in her command the power to restore these once lost Maraketh treasures to their former glory. Acquiring a coin of restoration by slaying monsters in Mirages allows any unique obtained from the Ufferrude to be transformed into its Maraketh counterpart, its glorious original form. Flesh Render, for example, transforms into Sky Sunder, the original Maraketh blade that radiates with the glowing heat of the desert sun. When you ignite monsters, Sky Sunder reflects that ignite back to you, which proliferates to nearby enemies in a massive area. If you meddle with the affairs of the Ufferrude for too long, though, you may draw the ire of the Mirage League's new in-game boss, Suresh of the Weeping Black. Suresh also has a set of powerful, exclusive items, yours for the taking, if you're able to defeat him. So that's the Mirage League.
Interesting.
Now, to face all the new evils, you might want some
one sec.
righteous skills, some holy skills. In 328, you'll have access to a slew of new options to bring divine devastation and return the faithless to their rightful graves. We're also introducing some supports to go with them, as well as some new transfigured gems. Let's go over a few examples. With Holy Hammers, you slam the ground to call down a Hammer of Justice from the sky. If this hits an enemy, an additional Holy Hammer will cascade forwards, which itself can further cascade, and so forth. Expending a power charge when using the skill will call down an additional 2 hammers, which can also cause cascading slams. The more numerous your foes, the more instruments of holy judgment. Sweep is an old skill. In fact, it is so old that it's one of the very first skills ever implemented in Path of Exile, over 15 years ago. It's been long overdue for some attention. With 328, it has been reworked into Holy Sweep. This skill converts some of your physical damage to lightning, with shiny new effects to match. Some enemies struck by the initial sweep will have hammers of light batter them from above. These hammers cause area damage where they land, so clustered enemies are demolished by repeated impacts. When successfully hitting an enemy with Holy Strike, you'll summon forth a floating holy armament, a glowing mace that follows you closely. These weapons are minions, and will attack with Holy Strike themselves whenever you do. These holy armaments will copy the stats of your main hand weapon to deal their damage. Stand against your foes with Shield of Light, a retaliation skill which will allow you to unleash a cone of holy light upon enemies after blocking a hit with your shield. Additional cones of light will also pour forth from your nearby allies when you hit with the skill, allowing you to recruit your holy army to create purging light. Divine Blast emits a beam of holy light from your shield, coalescing into a hovering ball of energy. A few moments later, this unstable orb bursts, exploding outward with divine power. Hallow supports melee attacks, causing them to inflict a new debuff, Hallowing Flame. Hallowing Flame builds up as charges on enemies, getting consumed when attacked. Consuming a stack of Hallowing Flame gives the attack that consumed it a significant amount of extra fire damage, but only those who did not inflict the Hallowing Flame are able to consume it. Perfect for those of you who enjoy a more supportive playstyle with your army of Holy Sentinels. Or friends, when they're online. We've also added sources of this debuff to a number of other places, such as unique items, cluster jewels, and the Guardian Ascendancy class.
PoE has
also have
Paladin.
another
Yeah, they
batch
added a
of
bunch
new
of holy
transfigured
skills, which
gems,
was not really a thing
with many
before. There
of
were like
these
a
being
few
variants for gems which
like that,
previously
but-
had none. One example is the Shockwave Totem of Authority, which casts its higher damage dealing
will.
Nova at your location.
Yeah, I expect
instead of
Templar
its
will
own.
have like a Paladin Ascendancy, but I'm not sure if they
You
confirmed that.
might also enjoy Orb of Storms of Squalls. These storms warp directly to targets when you use lightning skills, and arc lightning upon doing so. This gives you a mobile storm of destruction that follows you as you dive into battle. We'll leave the rest of the transfigured skills for you to comb through in the patch notes. Speaking of the patch notes, as always, we love to shake up the meta, so we've done a bunch of balance adjustments to a few other things as well, such as a pass on bloodline classes, expanded the passives available to the Templar section of the passive tree, and various improvements to existing holy themed skills such as Static Strike, Holy Flame Totem.
If you didn't play enough Paladin in D4, guys, you can now play Paladin in
And
PoE as well.
We're also doing our usual improvement to some of the least played Ascendancy classes. This time with a focus on Guardian and Warden. Speaking of Ascendancies, let's talk about the Scion and her new Reliquarian Ascendancy class. For those that have played the Legacy of Frisia events, this class will seem familiar. The Reliquarian is a learned Scion that has studied history at the Oriath Academy. She is a part of a secret society of Oriathans, dedicated to collecting and discerning the strange properties of unique items. All of her passive powers come from these unique items, found from throughout Rayclast. After ascending, first select the power of a unique armor. Victario's influence increases the level of all your auras and gives them a much larger area of effect. Or instead, take Kilowava's Bluster, giving you a chance to have extreme elemental resistance against incoming hits. Next, pick from a unique weapon power. Widow Hail greatly increases the bonuses gained from your quiver. Or Martyr's Teaching, which causes your minions' critical strike chance with attacks to be equal to your main hand weapons. Lastly, pick your Crown Jewel, a unique jewelry power. Astral Projector causes Nova spells to cast from enemies rather than from yourself. Or take Astramentus, simply giving you a huge boost to all your attributes. Due to all the ways you can mix and match unique powers, the Reliquarian has more flexibility in how you build it compared to any other Ascendancy class in the game. Our plan going forward is for the Reliquarian to not be a static Ascendancy class, and between each expansion, the unique powers which are offered will change. If you don't like what she offers this expansion, hopefully she'll have the power of your favorite unique item in the next one. Time to move on to the endgame. With this expansion, we are aiming to liven
I
up
really
the
like
endgame,
this.
giving players new experiences, strategies to leverage, and streamlining or removing the more frustrating tasks. Extensive changes will be coming to the Atlas and how you engage with maps, without interfering with the beloved core experience that has made mapping so successful. In the last few endgame updates, you experienced Zana's story, how she helped defeat the Elder, tried to stop exiles from going mad in the Atlas, and faced new threats pouring forth from it. In the most recent expansion, she eventually realized that there was only one way forward: to destroy the Atlas. Zana's recent actions have now weakened the already strained and tattered edges of its realities, reshaping how we interact with the Atlas entirely. To explain how this changes your interactions with the Atlas, we first want to establish some context while having a bit of a trip down memory lane. 27 expansions ago, back in Path of Exile 3.1.0, the War for the Atlas, we had a mechanic on the Atlas where the Shaper and Elder were engaged in war.
They're one of the
This
coolest trailers.
manifested as influence regions on the Atlas that affected specific maps. The ever-changing influence regions made the Atlas feel more like a physically connected space, rather than just a fancy way of visualizing a checklist of completed maps. However, one of the main frustrations with this mechanic was that you constantly needed many different specific maps in order to manipulate the influenced regions. We realized we'd love to again have mechanics that manifest physically on your Atlas, but we'd have to address the issue of always needing those specific maps. The first major change we'll be making to solve this is divorcing map items from specific areas. As an example, instead of having a Mesa map, you will now find, say, a Tier 10 map. To open a Mesa map now, just locate and select Mesa on your Atlas, put in your map item, click Activate, and you're good to go. That Mesa may drop a Tier 11 map. You can then immediately return to your map device, which will default to the last map run, and then run it again. Or choose a new map to use it on. It's your choice.
But this means you have to remember where all the maps are on the thing, right?
This is one of the many benefits to this change, which is that if you're the type of player who enjoys chaining the same map over and over, or the type of player who prefers to jump around, it is equally easy to do either strategy or even switch between them at a moment's notice. For example, if one day you're farming burial chambers, hoping to eventually get a headhunter from divination cards, and you decide you need a change of rhythm, you can seamlessly swap to your boss farming Atlas tree and spam Mesa for peak boss killing efficiency. Up until now, this would have required having some Mesa maps stashed, setting all your favored maps to Mesa, or doing a whole bunch of trading. You'll also notice that the structure of the Atlas has changed. If you haven't played in a while, here's a look at it before and after. You will now begin at the center of the Atlas, with each corner housing one of 4 Voidstone slots. In addition, all content accessed from your map device now exists physically on the Atlas, so you can see everything available in the endgame as you reveal the Fog of War.
That's cool.
This also means that all unique maps are now present on the Atlas, including some old favorites that are appearing for the first time. Don't worry though, you don't need to complete Hall of Grandmasters every league. You now gain 1 Atlas skill point per unique map completed, up to a maximum of 10. Given there are around 20 unique maps, you only need to complete the half you want, if you can get your hands on them. Note, you aren't losing any Atlas skill points. These have been moved to new places, and actually, you can get more than before. Due to Zana's actions, Egan now has a new goal and is determined to stop Zana's destruction by making use of a mysterious new discovery, arcane astrolabes. Zana is currently traversing the threads that weave the Atlas together, severing them. With these new astrolabes, Egan is able to trace her movement, but using them causes dangerous side effects. When you use an astrolabe on a map on the Atlas, a shaped region will manifest itself in that quadrant, affecting many of the maps within it. There are many different kinds of astrolabes, and they apply different types of shaped regions. For example, an abyssal region, which causes all the maps to have an additional abyss, or a blighted region, which adds a blight encounter. Completing the content added by the astrolabe will remove the shaped region's influence from that map. Upon doing so, every other map remaining in the shaped region will gain an additional modifier. This means as you progress through the shaped region, maps you run will become more and more intense, with the relevant mechanic getting more and more juiced.
Interesting.
Finally, at the end of the region of maps, once you have successfully rid the Atlas of the shaped region, Egan will take you to one of 4 memory vaults, where there are powerful rewards to be had. He cares only for the knowledge hidden within that vault, so any items are yours for the taking. Each vault is associated with a specific quadrant on the Atlas, so you're able to target a certain vault if you're wanting to try get a specific type of reward. One such vault is the Archon's Vault, where you'll be rewarded with powerful unique items. Or the Zealot's Vault, to acquire valuable currency items. This new shaped region system is one that promotes running many different maps. But for players that want to engage with this new system while still wanting to run the same map over and over again, the synthesized stability keystone on the Atlas tree enables exactly that. With all the new endgame changes, we thought it would be also good to mention some handy tips and tricks for quickly navigating the new Atlas. When using the map device, the Atlas defaults to your previously run map, so running the same map over and over is as few clicks as possible. You can right-click unique maps or map fragments in your inventory to automatically open your Atlas to that location with the map already placed and ready to run. When you select a special area that requires multiple items, such as to fight at Zeri or open the Domain of Timeless Conflict, if you have the fragments to access that in your inventory, it will automatically add them to the map device in the right spot.
Okay, that's pretty neat.
That's the core of the new endgame. But there's a lot more endgame changes coming in 3.28. Let's blast through them. Over the last few expansions, we've been working on streamlining the mapping experience. And we wanted to continue to minimize busy work so you can spend more time doing what you love, killing monsters and getting loot. To that end, we've made a number of changes. We won't get into too much detail, but here's a quick summary of what you can expect to have received adjustment. We've removed cartographer's chisels and map device crafts entirely. The loss of content and loot here has been compensated for in other places. Voidstones now grant special global bonuses while socketed on your Atlas, including adding the new Originator Voidstone, which enables specific Atlas bosses to drop exceptional supports. We'll elaborate more on that in the next section. T17 maps as you know it have effectively been removed. The bosses have been kept around, and they better fulfill their original purpose of being a gateway to target farm uber pinnacle bosses. The most annoying modifiers on Originator maps have been removed or replaced. No more getting turned into a slug for simply using skills, and no more will you be incapable of dealing damage periodically. Petal skills in Originator maps have been removed. However, some of their effects are now available from the altars and memory threads. Memory tears, instead of adding a memory thread to your Atlas, will now drop an itemized version of that thread. allowing you to save it for later or trade it at your leisure. We've added new scarabs, such as this Expedition Scarab of Infusion, which can generate some truly tempting logbooks. And for those of you looking to take on the ultimate one-on-one fight, the Anarchy Scarab of the Exceptional will
Rogue
place
Exile.
a true antagonist-level Rogue Exile threat in your map.
Uh-oh.
Empowered by every type of Wildwood Wisp, possessed by a Tormented Spirit, augmented with rare monster modifiers, and affected by a shrine, this Exile is not to be trifled with. Alongside that, we've also changed some, such as the Beyond Scarab of Resurgence, which now causes all 3 Beyond bosses to appear when a Beyond boss would spawn in your map. On top of that, we've made improvements to a number of weak Atlas Tree passives, such as Pillage and Plunder, which now grants a chance for items dropped by Syndicate members to have a Fractured Veiled mod.
Okay.
Check out the new The Paths Not Taken keystone, which means your maps on average will drop twice as many divination cards. But which ones can drop will be a mystery. And last, but not least, we've also made some changes to King's March shipping, such as we've swapped the rewards given by sending ore and crops. I wonder what this new port will send back. Ports will now give more rewards for favoured resources, and you can even re-roll them for gold, if they're not offering what you're after. Specific ports will now reward specific tattoos and rune grafts, making it easier to target the ones you want. Not to mention, the Kalgurans have discovered several new powerful rune grafts for you to get your hands on, such as the Rune Graft of Fury, which causes you to gain rage on using a life flask, and the Rune Graft of Resurgence, which causes Arcane Surge to also grant life regeneration. We mentioned earlier about the Originator Voidstone enabling access to exceptional supports. So let's get into that, as there's a decent amount to cover. After defeating the incarnations of Fear, Neglect, and Dread, you will obtain the Originator Voidstone. As mentioned earlier, this Voidstone allows new, exceptional support gems to drop from many bosses across the Atlas. These new supports are an improvement over the old Awakened support system, which is being phased out.
Oh.
Awakened supports have long been a capstone investment for a character, but there's existed a gulf between the more interesting ones, such as Awakened Spell Cascade, which has some additional transformative effect, as opposed to some of the simpler Awakened supports, which just have slightly higher numerical values. Exceptional supports will all be transformative, serving as an additional late-game tool to customize your build around, and extending character customization and creation even later into a build's life. One of the goals here is to provide interesting build choices even at later levels and deep into the endgame. However, we are certainly not aiming to reduce top-end player power with these changes. Exceptional supports will still be super strong. If used well, they will catapult your character even further than before. So, how many are there, and what exactly do they do? There are over 40 new exceptional supports to discover, adding additional enticing drops to
Have they buffed
bosses
King's March
that
instead of
may
removing
otherwise
it?
have felt not as worthwhile to
It
run.
sounds like you have to
giving
do it
players
less,
extra reason to
which
take
is
on
good, I
those
guess.
challenges. For instance, from the King in the Mists, we have the Hex Toad support. This support creates areas of swampy cursed ground, which spawns toads that bounce towards enemies and then explode.
So they brought
dealing
Paladin
chaos
and
damage.
Witch Doctor at once.
From the Uber Elder, we have the Void Storm support, which causes your raining attacks to create celestial storms of energy that grow over time, detonating as you approach for massive damage. Defeating the incarnation of Neglect may win you the Frost Mage support. Similar to the existing Archmage support, you are rewarded for stacking mana to enhance your spells with extraordinary cold damage. We'll tease some more of these before launch, but there will be many, many more for you to discover. Keepers of the Flame is coming back. However, we do know that many players have issues with the walls in Hive encounters. In order to address these concerns, we'll be making a number of changes. One of the biggest problems is that walls would block your projectiles, meaning that when a hive randomly spawned in your map, it would make it harder to clear. In order to prevent that, walls and hive encounters will now be destroyed by any damage. But we also wanted to make sure we reduce the visual clutter they cause. Hives and their walls are now smaller. To allow players to engage with hive encounters quicker when they do want to help Aelith, we've added a new Atlas passive which drastically increases the detonation area of unstable burrows, causing them to reliably chain react and destroy the majority of remaining walls. For those who don't want to deal with the walls at all, there's now a pair of keystones that allow you to block hive encounters or unstable breaches, if you want. Now that this is a core league, we don't want you to have to grow your Genesis tree from scratch on every league start. So now, each womb gift slot is already usable by default, and access to the Monastery of the Keepers will be gained by finding Aelith starting in Act 6 Mudflats. Now with Atlas Tree and Scarab support, you can have multiple unstable breach encounters active in a single area, for maximum ruckus. Speaking of Atlas Tree and Scarab support, we've added plenty. Here are a few examples. The Massing Forces Atlas notable grants a chance to have additional unstable breaches in your maps. The Breach Scarab of the Marshal guarantees a breach boss or hive fortress, while the Breach Scarab of the Incensed Swarm replaces all of Aelith's skills with Enrage the Hive, increasing the difficulty and reward from hive monsters in all subsequent waves. Graft items will no longer exist, but we've moved several of the graft skills to new exceptional supports, such as the Hiveborn support, which summons an army of breach minions to do your bidding when you use a supported offering skill, and the Foul Grasp support, which calls forth a field of grasping breach hands when you recall brands, exploding for heavy lightning damage when enemies approach them. We're looking forward to seeing how these improvements and additions are received, alongside a lot of what Keepers also has to offer. From the new bosses in their bloodline, through to the Genesis tree and its many different crafting options, like Foulborn uniques. Also with its new narrative, we look forward to extrapolating on all of this and learning more about Aelith, the Hiveborn, and its Breach Lords in the future. That covers all the new content we're adding, and that was a lot. From a new in-game system, several new reward types, new ways to juice maps, all of which you can double up in the new Mirage League, and all that alongside a suite of new holy skills, a new Ascendancy class, and an insane amount of new character customization in the endgame. However, an important part of Path of Exile expansions is making sure there is a continued effort to improve quality of life. So let's get into that now. You can now favorite trades on the currency exchange. This consists of selecting 2 currencies that you want to be able to trade between with a single click, and setting them as a favorite trade. Favorite trades will appear by default on opening the currency exchange, and will still auto-suggest a ratio based on recent trade data. A further improvement to the currency exchange is the ability to open and interact with your stash while you have the exchange window open. Now, when trading in a full set of divination cards, it will automatically be handed in to become the resultant item. If you then turn in another set immediately, the reward from the previous set will be transferred to your inventory directly, assuming there's enough free space to do so. Labyrinth font crafts that previously gave a random transfigured gem now allow you to choose which transfigured gem of that type you'd like to receive. The asynchronous trade item sale history is now hoverable, with full item descriptions of the sold item. When using Divine Orbs, you can now tell exactly which modifiers can be randomized. The ritual icon will now glow if you've got significant unspent tribute in an area and all rituals are complete, and a pop-up will appear after the final ritual completion. Also on the topic of ritual, you can now quick use vessels on completed rituals. Have you ever tried to click a divine shrine, surrounded by enemies, and find it extremely difficult to click? Well, shrines now take priority over monsters when clicking in an area they overlap. Since 3.24, we've been looking to add new ways to improve the campaign experience, and 3.28 is no different. This patch, we've added over 20 landmark rooms throughout the campaign, scattered across all 10 acts. Some of these reward some pretty useful stuff, so keep an eye out for the new and unexpected rooms, side passages, chests, and encounters as you progress throughout Rayclast. We want most of these to be a surprise, but we'll show you just one. There is now a small central island in the Karui Fortress, all inhabitants of which will drop a basic tattoo when slain. Next up, we're going to be talking about our new supporter packs. Today, we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs: the Curator of Wisdom and Iron Incarcerator packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Curator of Wisdom series of supporter packs contains 7 exclusive microtransactions. The Travelling Wisdom back attachment has all the necessary tools you may require to chronicle your journey, complete with a helpful rat friend. These chronicles will activate their magic upon identifying items, and will track the number of items identified of each rarity. Just hover the item, or link it in chat to show it off. The Acquired Wisdom unique finisher effect summons an ancient scroll that consumes unique enemies and the knowledge they hold. Most exiles would struggle carrying piles of scrolls while travelling Rayclast, but the Grand Curator of Wisdom armor set is perfect for the adventurous scholar. Any expert curator knows that scrolls hold more than just knowledge, they also hold power. As you cast spells, the scrolls attached to the armor will burn away, before rematerializing shortly after. It also features a series of helmet variations, so you can get precisely the look you're after. Summon your Scroll Shaper familiar pet to follow alongside you. This creature is formed from folded magical texts, and can shapeshift between different forms. You can think of this as having multiple pets in one. It can fold into a fox, and then even burn away, reforming into a flying bird. This series of packs also contains the Scroll Portals, jumbo-sized versions of the Scroll of Wisdom and Portal Scroll that you can make a quick retreat through. A supreme catalogue of knowledge can't remain in one place for too long and risk being pillaged by thieves. The Titan Apex Hideout features a colossal titan who carries your base of operations atop their shoulders, constantly moving through a boundless desert. The Iron Incarcerator pack also contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. The Incarcerator's Restraints back attachment features stockades that were used to immobilize prisoners by binding them to the earth as they were tortured for their wrongdoings. Shackles envelop your choice of torturing device when using the Chains of the Incarcerator weapon effect. These chains shatter into links as you batter enemies. Make your way through Rayclast as a walking penitentiary, intimidating your enemies with the elite Iron Incarcerator armor set. After a long day of tracking down criminals, step into the Iron Maiden portal to retreat to your torture chamber. It acts as a great deterrent for would-be intruders. This peculiar creature was a favourite amongst incarcerators. They would be sent into the midst of prison riots to mesmerize and control the toughest of minds. Use their talents to charm other players' pets, causing them to abandon their owners and follow in line behind you instead, at least until it wears off. What better way to execute prisoners when your torturing has depleted their value? Harvest their souls to fuel this map device, condemning them to eternal incarceration. Your kills within the map are also recorded based on the rarity of the monster. You can choose to pin an execution session that you're satisfied with on this miniature leaderboard, which is displayed for all that dare enter your hideout. Additionally, all microtransactions from these supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 2. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll
Yoink
post
all the
full
gobbledygook is
patch
exactly
notes
what I
for
was
Path
thinking
of
about
Exile
as well.
Mirage at 11 a.m. New Zealand time, 2 p.m. Pacific.
And there's the other pet that
With
kills other
release at
pets,
the end
right?
of next week, our
You mentioned
community
you
team
like
will
that.
be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news.
Which one will win? The Assassin Birch. Yeah, in the PoE you have Aspirational Birch. I have to say the quality of life improvements are very nice. What do you guys think about the Atlas changes? Yo. Mobs, man. Thank you so much. It's a nice mix-up. Yeah. Oh, I also had a sub from Sado earlier. I think I also have K done, right?
G'day,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Welcome back.
Yeah, appreciate the
Ziggy
channel.
here, joined by game director
Mobs.
Mark Roberts
Oh,
and game
I don't hear
designer
anything.
Octavian to do our Q&A post live stream discussion for an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. We'll see where things take us. Especially
cool.
with us discussing things like ground loot, end game, breach, King's March, balance. There's a lot to cover here.
I locked in here with you forever, Ziggy.
Yeah, that's good. Let's do it. And well, let's start off by just welcoming Octavian here to the show for the first time.
Hello.
And what brings you here with us today, Octavian?
This guy? I don't know. He's the one who said I should. No, I mean, I've been doing a lot. So we'll get into more details later, probably. But the teams between PoE 1 and PoE 2 have become a little bit more distinctly split as of late. Mm-hmm. You know, there's definitely still some people who jump back and forth, but myself, I work fully on PoE 1 at the moment. And I've been doing a lot of the design work on, you know, pretty much everything to do with the 328 expansion. You know, it's not just me. I'm working with a number of other designers, but I've had my hands in a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, it represents a Path of Exile 1, like getting the team and resources that it needs to like continue its development and like put out some spicy expansions every 4 months or something you're trying to do now. So it's a pretty exciting thing for PoE 1 fans.
I mean, it's a lot to take on for sure. Like, and there's been some growing pains. We had our whole like team was split and merged team, and now we're kind of splitting again, and we're kind of going all over the place. But honestly, what allowed us to do the split this time is Octavian and Andrew, who's not here, but hopefully maybe next time or in the future we were thinking might get a bit too cozy on this couch.
We need a longer couch.
You know, we'll figure that out. But yeah, with Octavian here, you know, stepping up and seizing control and having that like X factor design, which is something that I would say Jonathan and I have, and you know, pretty much before I was going back and forth on the game so aggressively, and I was just like, holy, there's so much context switching going on. I didn't feel like I was giving enough time to each product, you know, because I was so spread too thin, as they say, and all this. And so all of a sudden, yeah, with Octavian's, you know, just like, let me do it. And so here's where we are. And it's this real awesome story where now, you know, Path of Exile 1, obviously, you know, you started by Chris, you got Jonathan, you got Eric, and obviously they started the project, they started grinding gear, and they had this, you know, obviously they hadn't played the game before because the game was new, right? And so they're developing it and, you know, release it and all this, and now you've got this thing where it's, you know, with Jonathan's obviously still in the picture, but you got this thing where it's kind of like me with Octavian and Andrew, all three of us coming into the company as players through QA, now getting to this point. And so, like, I mean, a lot of what Octavian's getting is the story I got, and obviously I'm all for that because I got lucky and I'm happy about it and I love my job, and so I'm seeing this happen again. It's exciting, and yeah, it's just it's bloody cool, while also makes things easier for me, you know. I'm like way less stressed about it. I'm way less spread too thin. I get to actually focus on the quality and what we're doing, and I mean, it's just an all-round win. And
Yeah, first time Octavian here doing these. You'll see a lot more of them, I'm sure, unless something goes catastrophically wrong today. Good luck.
Yeah, sure.
It's awesome.
I'm confident. I'm confident in the content and the expansion.
No, it's real good. It's awesome. Yeah, like for sure. Like if you're looking at a how did I do for my first time kind of thing, like I don't think it could have gone any better, to be honest. And good. It's good, and obviously keen to talk about it and keen to answer all the questions, and I'm sure hopefully you are too.
Yeah, Octavian's been super humble and stuff when I've been talking to him. Like, yeah, you're doing a good job. This is good content.
No, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's huge.
And killing tier 17s. What a champion for Path of Exile players everywhere, mate. Good stuff. But I love that you guys have had that like same journey as well. Like, and Andrew too as well, right? Like, it's players become QA, become game. Like designers become like producers and leads on Path of Exile 1 project now. Like it's like the game is in the hands of the players.
Hope about ground loop being improved. There was nothing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I still play every expansion for not as much time as I did when I streamed the game for a living when it was my job to play it for 8 to 10 hours a day. But I still probably put in an unhealthy amount of time. I work on the game for 8 hours and then I go home and play the game for like 4, and then I maybe eat something and then go to bed. It hasn't faded. I had a lot of people when I first joined the company asking me like, do you not play the game anymore? Is it not fun anymore? Like, do you get sick of it? And no, it has not yet happened.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm excited to talk about all the new stuff, but first, I think we definitely need to talk about ground loot.
Yeah, the loot. There's not much loot on the ground down here, is there?
I don't see anything.
Where's the
nothing's
loot?
making it through my filter right now. This floor is empty. Ground loot is a hot topic discussion right now and has honestly been for a long time in some iteration or another. I remember like as far back as like... I was trying to find where, for me, the idea of where some of these things trace back to. And for me, it was actually like Legion, like farming low tier maps where you're getting that flat additive loot in the map and so all of a sudden you're not caring so much about what the regular monsters drop. You're just doing your tier 4 Glacier to get Legion and stuff like that. But this whole thing is definitely like it's been a tricky topic to break down because a lot of people have various different issues. Some people are like blaming loot tiles. Other people, like myself, for example, think loot tiles are great. They're just kind of like indicative of the difference between what is dropping from regular monsters in a map and what is being given through what I will refer to as loot tiles, but is generally like flat additive systems, something that adds something, a known quantity, something that's going to be, what you're going to be getting to some extent. And I don't necessarily think, I think those are a great mechanic for various reasons, but they don't necessarily scale with difficulty in the same way as regular content can. They don't have as much of that element of surprise. And I think trying to like really figure out where a lot of this comes down to, like what's the actual issue if you like kind of peek through the curtains a bit. I think it's just that people are getting their loot in ways that feel like it isn't earned, like it's too disconnected from the gameplay, right? Like you've either got like non-combat drops being really good, things like shipments and the auto mappers, or loot tiles, which have that kind of like preordained feeling, so it's not as directly correlated with the content you're doing. So I'm just curious kind of like how you guys are feeling about or tracking with that, just discussion in an overall sense before we dive into some of the specifics.
Well, there's a couple. Obviously, look, item drops are complicated. This model is complicated. The system is complicated. And it's easy to get lost in the weeds and all that. But honestly, let me simplify it down. Yes, if people don't think it's good enough, it's not good enough. So we'll fix it, right? And now, obviously, these things can take time. But I mean, we'll immediately just to get right in there, because I know what people actually want to know is, what are you doing about it? So let's get to that straight away, which is, at least for now, given that we have, a week till release. That being said, we can always make loot better mid-league, right? That's never a problem.
That's never a problem.
It's taking away this problem. But, look, as I said, if you say it's not good enough, it's not good enough. That's how it is. That's just the nature. If the players, and I mean the audience at whole, is like, it sucks, then it sucks, right? So we'll make it better. So to start with, what we're going to be doing, instead of, there might be some terminology here I need to make sure I acknowledge people don't understand. We will effectively be doubling all the currency.
And this is from
number
like,
one. From core drops, as we call it. Yeah. Not windows, not tile loot, whatever all the terminalogy is. Obviously, that will then by consequence diminish the rewards from window loot and tile loot. Yes, that is intentional.
Just economically speaking, you mean, like?
Yes, correct. As in just proportionately, one goes up, the other is now less value proportionally.
Yeah, just like inflation and whatnot.
What else are we doing? We're going to do a bit of a pass on like memory strands was an attempt to try and get equipment. So that's the currency. The equipment memory strands was an attempt to get equipment drop to be more impactful. You know, when you identify, I would say that system didn't. It has its purposes, but it didn't land as good as we wanted. So we're just reassessing that since we're also making changes to the end game around originator maps and all that. Look, they're going to be better. There'll be generally more strands. They'll have higher impact. So identified items via that means will just be better. We're also we're going to see if we can do it in time to make sure that it also doesn't just pick bad base types.
Oh, yeah, that's already been done.
There you go.
Nice.
Sweet. Well, we did a lot of this yesterday.
So base type biasing?
It has yes, so it still can technically, if you get rather unlucky, pick a lower tier base type, but it's heavily biased towards picking higher tier base types to put the memory strands on.
Okay, that's cool. I remember like a long time ago, it was not like that was avoided specifically. It was like, oh, some people might want like a Grove Bow or something instead.
I mean,
sure.
I think at this point.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Deal with it, I guess. Greater good is often the way to look at that. And then, look, we're doing some other things. We're going to have ancient orbs, fracturing orbs added to the core drop pools, which should help a little bit for that more kind of mid to higher tier currency.
Yeah, those are the... Ooh, yeah.
We're doing anything else? So we're doing a little bit of a rebalancing of currency proportions. Okay, when I say double currency, by the way, I immediately obviously forgot to mention the important thing. We're not doubling transmutes and orgs. We're doubling the things that matter.
True.
We're doubling the more important currency. We're not you're not just going to get twice as many of the trash. Obviously by end game, you don't need the thousands of them that exist already. So, look, that's the immediate step that we're taking. It's always going to be an ongoing discussion. There's always going to be ebbs and flow to this, always, right? There will be a thing where maybe ground loot is saved, and then a year later we'll be having the exact same discussion with a slightly different twist, and that's fine. That's just how it works. You might even find 6 months from now or something where people are like, bunch of these leagues aren't worth doing because the window loot happens to suck from them or something, These are just how these things go. It's a constant back and forth. It's a constant conversation, and the important thing is just like, there's a problem, fix the problem, don't freaking. And the thing is about it, and because item drops is so complicated, what you do find, and you find it internally, you get lost in these just crazy philosophical conversations for like hours and hours and hours and hours of talking about why and what did we do in the past that did X, Y, and Z, and it is important to discuss those, but sometimes it's also important to just bulldoze through and just start making changes and start fixing the problem. Now, especially with a week till deployment, like we don't want to sully or have all the content to be ultimately, less appreciated because of the fact that, ground drops suck, which, as I said, agree. We're doing what we can now. We'll hopefully do more later, if that's what's needed. Just keep telling us about it. You know what I mean? But for now, we're going to be doing a bunch of changes because we can this week. We can test them this week. We can make sure that we're happy with them this week. And if we do anything else, we'll let you know. And then, we'll just keep going. And we obviously got changes to King's March, which is obviously window loot. You've got changes to... the new league, I would say, is one that more favors generally things that aren't in Windows. We'll see. I don't know. Hopefully that's a good start, and we'll see where it ends up, I guess.
Octavian, you were mentioning to me this idea that there's like a lot of white trash items that are dropping, and something about like that kind of effectively becoming currency was kind of the idea there.
Sort of, in a way. So like when Mark says doubling the currency that drops, we're not like there is a total amount of weighting in the drop pool, if that makes sense. And we're not adding more weighting to that drop pool. Instead, we are subtracting it from places like, normal basic equipment that every single person is hiding on their loot filter. That weighting is now going instead towards currency items. And like Mark said, specifically towards currency items that aren't like transmutes.
There's technically not more items on the floor. It's just more of the garbage has turned into, ideally now, mid and higher tier currency.
Yeah, so like once upon a time we had this like massive historic quantity rarity buff removal thing that occurred, and that some of the numbers on that were like crazy. It was like, oh, this has 1600% increased quantity. So for the skeptics out there, like my father when I was young, who would say, I'm doubling your pay this week. Double nothing's nothing. do you think like doubling the currency is something that has like a pretty appreciable impact on like a map to map basis, when like a lot of the time you are kind of just walking out with a couple fragments and a scarab?
I mean, double is definitely still double. It's a pretty big deal, you know.
There's a difference between like economic changes.
It's definitely
and things. That you
I
feel,
agree. It's
yeah.
definitely different to a like 6% glacial hammer buff or whatever's happened historically. It definitely will make a pretty notable difference, but that case there is also an important one, and we were still actively discussing that yesterday, where we were like, there's a little bit of wanting to make sure there's a minimum as well, especially with a certain amount of content. Like, I appreciate that a lot of people are like, you know, there's that juice up here and there's that, like, here's just your base map. And there's a bit of an expectation that, you know, you should be able to just go in, clear the map and come out with more. And I generally agree with that. I would say that, you know, the base map is kind of bad right now with respect to some of that. And so, but again, this is that thing where we've got these things we can do now and quite quickly, because we understand the ramifications of them way more. Then there's still all these other conversations we need to have about more like that and how we can achieve that. You know, there's things about how can we've always wanted the idea that the quality of equipment is dropping better, but there's less of it. How can we achieve that? And like, it's quite complicated and quite difficult to do, and it has like all these ramifications down the line, and it just goes and goes and again. So right now, focus on what we're doing, but we will 100% be looking at things like the minimums, the base mapping experience versus the giga juiced, because the other thing we need to make sure we don't do is you know, often what you can do is you can add something that is more for your average player doing your average regular map, and then that, once multiplied by every single league thing, ends up being just more and more for the top end, and then it's a bit of a rich get richer situation, and you didn't end up necessarily even benefiting that person. You in fact made them now feel worse from an economic standpoint. So like, yeah, you have that thing where you need to give something there but take away from something here, and that can be dangerous because you might, you know, overcook the nerf, you might overcook the buff, you might undercook on either, you know. It's scary for sure. So yeah, I mean, even yesterday, I mean, to be fair, yesterday I was the one proposing all the craziness. And I was like, whatever, it's fine, let's just do it. Everyone's like, whoa, calm down. And I was like, all right, fair enough, I'm calm. We'll do the safe stuff that we know that's high impact and going to help people now more than anything, and then we'll keep looking at this stuff. So I would expect more changes. Again, I would, depending on what they are, mid-league, again, I don't like nerfing strategies mid-league. Like, that's a last resort. So yeah, if all of a sudden it's like buff and nerf, and if we can be 100% certain it hasn't like screwed over a bunch of people's current economic wealth, that's good. But look, if it isn't solved, then 329 will have more. So just make sure you keep letting us know, right? Like, that's the important thing. Like, often what happens is like a topic can come up and then be lost because other stuff moves on or whatever. Like, it's really important that, and it's obviously a responsibility on our end to make sure we go, okay, this is still a problem. It's not like just because
we can check in each Q&A on this one. Sure.
Yeah,
sure. It's like a good ongoing one to
for sure.
review. I think it'd be good if you can get, like, you know, for the Alk and Go players, like to a situation where they can get two chaos to rub together. But I think like an interesting situation is that you can kind of stack all of this juicing stuff into juicing the normal content of a map, the monsters, and you can't really like scale it, or the scaling has not really any impact on that. It's like something to do with, like, it might literally be that like double nothing is nothing situation where you're like, oh, well, through all these scarabs and Atlas stuff, I've juiced these monsters up 1800%, but they ultimately still aren't able to drop anything at that point. Now, how do you make it able to scale? It feels like actually like a really difficult design problem right now. How do you get it actually able to scale basic monsters to make them both challenging and rewarding? Because like, Affliction's various issues aside, something that was cool about that was that you could scale rare monsters to be really freaking hard and really rewarding, and that was actually like a cool thing that maybe needs to be in the game somewhere, and maybe that we've lost.
You see a lot of this thing with the difficulty scaling, where you get that exact argument where people are like, I want a way to be able to scale monsters, but then you also have the audience who are like, I want things to be rewarding without needing those scaling mechanisms.
Got to have a bit of both, I guess.
You do need a bit of both. It's never going to be perfect. You're always in a kind of gray area, and that's where I talk about the ebbs and flows of just things coming and going, and ultimately it's what feels right to as many people as possible. Or there are many options for these things, right?
Yeah, I wonder if we just need some like chunkier options that do just like
we do.
Make those
100%.
base monsters just punch a bit harder. Some like big nodes, big notables on that.
Octavian was specifically pushing for this yesterday, and we're in agreement. It's just a matter of coming up with what that is. And
the hardest, like, Atlas passives and scarabs and that kind of thing to design are usually the ones that are the most broad. Like if you're designing for a particular league mechanic or something, you know what levers and knobs you have to turn. But if you're designing something for the monsters in the map, that's a little tougher. And that's not to say there aren't cool designs there. There definitely are, but it is one of those things where like we probably can come up with a bunch of cool stuff by 329, but probably don't have it in the next week.
Like, this is like another league situation here, but I wonder if there's like this needs to be keywordified, like some sort of like native monsters.
Yeah, we do.
Natural inhabitants is what we currently call them. Yes,
we do have that as a concept. Yeah, it's not used super frequently, but there's a few places in there.
But then you also then don't want it to be that then there is a league and the league just feels like absolute trash. So again, a little bit of a fine balance, and because otherwise you're going to start the ebb or the flow on the other side, and now all of a sudden. It's like, no, there's no point adding any leagues to my area.
I mean, some of your well-designed leagues, I think, can work well with that. Like the Mirage, just as an example, for example.
100%, yes.
If that was in now, Mirage would work really well. It'd be duplicating all those scaled-up, like naturally occurring monsters and adding more of them effectively as well. Like non-loot tiled, but still kind of like randomized monster stuff, which is pretty cool.
Well, as you can see, though, also we've just done a lot of changes, especially to existing systems. Like we're not afraid of. I mean, items a bit more scary because you do need to test it. You don't want to mess that up, But we're not. Octavian's not too afraid. It seems to be able to suggest the crazy things that we.
Bit of fresh blood, bit of vigor for change. That's good.
Sure.
I think we just said even to you this morning, it's like Octavian and I were just like talking absolute madness, I believe I phrased it as, in terms of doing all these crazy things and like, just tipping things upside down and like seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. And so we'll just keep doing it. But
you guys can
it's
cut loose.
exciting.
You're in charge of the game now.
Now is the time. I really love these conversations in this point because now is the time when like we don't plan stuff so far in advance. Hopefully people know that by now. We stay dynamic, we stay agile with that stuff, and right now is when we're discussing what are we doing for 329, what are our major headliners, what are our minor headliners. And
I usually say that start like the week before this one releases. It's like usually it's like, okay, what's the next league look like?
And so right now is the thing where we're putting effectively our list, what are our tier 1 problems, our tier 2 problems, what are the things we want to achieve, not. And so
the hardest part is I've already got some stuff that I really want to do in 329 that I'm really excited about, and I can't talk to you about it.
Yes, I know. You guys told me something before the Q&A. I'm like, you can't tell me this right before the Q&A, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. I have to, like, come on. I really want to bring that up.
Yeah, but now you have 4 months of prep for the next Q&A.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. But my question's ready for that topic. But wait a while on that one, though. Something that on this ground loot topic that I'm kind of have been sad to see fade away to an extent. It was the loot conversion mechanic on rare monsters. Now, it was obviously really problematic when it was first implemented because it was associated with arch nemesis monsters, and then it had like pinata fishing stuff. But you guys solved that by making it actually properly random. And then even though it was kind of a loot tiled mechanic in the sense that it's like making a specific drop at it, it's random and it doesn't feel like that at all. So it's... I think loot conversion, so for those who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, this is occasionally rare monsters have like a hidden thing where they will take whatever they were going to drop and they change it into something else. And that is like fun and weird and surprising, and weird and like surprising loot drops.
Spike moments.
Yeah. Those are the things you remember. Like, I remember the first time I saw like, they all got changed into currency, or they all got changed into maps, or some weird other thing happened.
That was another big topic yesterday. It's like because that was another. And there's so many axes here, but we were like, we need to reinstate spike moments. Moments where you're like, whoa, this is crazy, and that not just being a divine or having to mouse over every type of a unique of a given base type. And that is what achieved that. I mean, I believe we are at least we obviously nerfed those. It was a bit hectic. But we're easing back on some of that,
breaking
at
NDA,
least for
really?
050.
Wait, with
what
what?
the heck? 328. So that's what I mean. Too many games for 328. We're easing back on those diminishing return penalties, I believe we applied.
Okay.
You know, at least they'll be more spiky again, but not what they once were. What they were was kind of a bit out of control. That being said, it's important that there are those crazy spike moments, and if there aren't enough, like that might not be enough, then we have to we'll add more.
So it's important that there's a variety of them too. You know, like that's the fundamental challenge of a loot-based video game is getting players to, you know, care about, you know, the different pixels on their screen, and like this set is more exciting than that set. And like that's the trick that as game designers you're trying to play on people, and it's not an easy trick to play. And you know, like one small thing, like Mark said earlier, that we are doing for 328 is the ancient orbs and fracturing orbs to the global drop pool, because now there's another shiny tink that might occur in the form of the fracture orb.
Yeah, but we want more giga tinks.
Yes, that is certainly not the extent of it. It's
you want
just
the thing where there's like 50 tinks overlapping all at the same time, and your sound channels are like, I don't know how to deal with
and
this.
just like, yeah, the unexpected and the weird, that's the thing that I want to really drive home. Is like, I want you guys to come up with like 10 new weird things that rares can drop, because it makes rares like matter again. It makes them interesting again. Like, I'm excited about a rare because it could do something I've never seen before, and that's
one of my favorite, like
after 10,000 hours or whatever.
If we design something like that and it's a success and it's like a meaningful new niche in the game, that was one of my favorite things as a player, you know, chasing those weird niches to try and find some, you know, strange corner of the economy that I could leverage. And I want to add more of that.
Right, yeah.
We will. It's on the mind for sure. Hopefully by 329 we've got a good set of that.
So potentially some more loot conversion, kind of weird explosions and stuff.
There's kind of things in the meanwhile. You also then, when doing that, don't want to then just make the map boss feel valueless and all that stuff. So it's a little bit more to make sure we get right. Because
map bosses could be a good place for that sort of thing, honestly, like the weird drops like that.
In theory, you do it on both.
Yeah.
Could be distinct pools on each. Who knows? But then you don't want to create an environment where the map boss is only so rewarding that you just kill the map boss and repeat. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Who knows?
Just make everything good.
That's the goal.
It's all good. We'll get there 100%. I have no lack of confidence in that factor, like for sure. So
you touched on King's March. So there's like King's March is like a big kind of like grouping of the same issue there, where it's like the gambling, the shipments, and the mappers, and those giving some of the most rewarding loot right now. It's just not from combat gameplay ultimately. And this was something I was going to bring up later, but I'll bring it up here now. It makes sense that like I think I like King's March. A lot of people like the King's March shipments and stuff like that, but I think over time it's definitely started to feel more and more like what I was initially concerned about, which is that it'd be like daily quests, mandatory chores, exactly. Yeah, busy work sort of stuff. For loot that you're not really earning, it's disconnected from your gameplay and that. I was surprised to think about the crop and ore change. It's like it's a pretty subtle thing, but it actually seems like that might be kind of impactful. Do you think that's going to make a big difference though?
I mean, it does make a big difference, yes, because you have to now engage with the league and be invested in the league in order to now get the printed currency.
Yes.
So at least there's that. I understand that's, you know, a bit of a currency nerf to everyone, but hey, look, it's window loot, so, you know, we're compensating for that in the rest of the game as well. So, you know, with all the different leagues.
Is a hit a lot of people are willing to take. It's like, because I think for King's March especially, it was something there, it's like, technically it's optional, you don't have to do it, but like everyone is.
Yeah, it's not really. It's not really though, is it?
Right?
No. The swap is sort of meant to help address.
Yeah.
Because like, when you could just grow crops with nothing but money, then it doesn't really feel optional, right? Because you're making gold whatever you're doing. So you have gold to give to King's March, and they can just turn that into money for you.
Yeah. That was a quote that I picked out from somewhere that I found particularly entertaining. Or it's like someone's like, "Oh, my King's March mappers are getting better currency per map than I do, so I give them all my maps and I farm gold for them." I'm like, "Oh, that's just tragic, isn't it?" It's not really where you want to be.
So now, and what you need to figure out is, does the doubling of currency double the King's March mappers amount of currency?
Well, it doesn't currently.
No, it doesn't.
Well, there you go. That's probably part of the solution there, just kind of accidentally.
But yeah, King's March has a pretty extreme love-hate relationship going on with everyone. Like this,
I like it. Honestly, I enjoy logging in and getting my shipments, but I do see the dark patterns there.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
The issue there.
hopefully these changes help. There's obviously more we can do in due time, but you know, you also don't want to take away the thing that a lot of people do like. And that's where maybe making it more of an optional thing instead of the actual fake optional
like
that
that
it
a
is
lot.
right now is honestly
really at
the
all, I gotta
trajectory it
say.
needs to go. That way, if you love
Never really
it,
did
do it.
much
If
of
you
it.
don't, and you don't have to feel so penalized or bad about not having it. You know, that's probably the direction to really go ultimately. How that will present itself, TBD, but we'll just have to see how the ore and crop change is actually quite a big deal, and we'll just have to see how that goes.
Yeah,
so.
it's like it seems like it'll have a surprisingly big impact for just a pretty simple thing. It's like, oh, we should have done this in the first place. It's like,
yeah.
It's funny. It was just a bit backwards, I suppose. And I'm interested to see how much change the port stuff you've done is, because you've moved around where rewards come from ports, made them more specific, because it was pretty autopilot before. Like, I just used the same port again and again. You just dumped all your crops in one port. There wasn't really much to think about there. But now it seems like you're actually going to maybe be a little bit of strategy there about where you're sending what.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure players will develop something of a meta. I think one thing that we didn't note as well is that, like, in the live stream footage, is that the what is it called? The quota? Like the port wants a certain
favorite
resource.
resources.
Yeah, that has much more of an impact than it once did on the shipment that you'll return, and you can also re-roll that.
Yeah, it's hard to see like the impact of that sort of thing. So hopefully it's like something that's like pretty noticeable, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a system that was intended to promote that you vary up the different ports you send to.
Yeah. So hopefully that.
So like
that's
even
the case now.
if we've shuffled stuff around, you're still going to have, you know, a non-random meta generally, right? There'll be a certain port that gives you what you want. You know, and there's choice within that, and that's great. But yeah, you need a kind of more random, and that's what that system was trying to do. It just wasn't doing it very well. So, you know, make it more impactful and keep doing so if we need to.
Vaguely similar to this idea of like getting the best loot from non-gameplay was the major boss drops coming more from reliquary keys than the actual boss, and those dropping globally as well. Is that something you're thinking about at all? I feel like a lot of people feel like it circumvents like the point of the boss, and
it
devalues
does.
that a lot.
It does for sure. We're not doing anything about that right now that I'm aware of.
you had
But
Not in 328, but I actually personally also share this gripe. So
Agreed.
it is a thing that will be brought up with Andrew and the other designers working on PoE 1. So yeah, it's. I also agree. I would like it if every Starforge in the world came from killing Shaper. But we'll see whether we get to that reality or not. Like that's something that other people have strong opinions on as well. I'm not going to unilaterally say like, yes, we're doing this.
Yeah. So is there a reason why like the boss doesn't just drop the keys that give those things or something? Like I guess they would need a bunch of different keys or something. Might be the issue there. You need like a reliquary key of Shaper or something.
Yeah, that would necessitate a lot of base items, but that might be fine.
We do have a lot of little things like that, don't we?
Didn't we do that at some point? I swear.
I feel like it.
I thought we had.
Don't we have the
ringing bells or something?
bosses
like,
drop
maybe
their
it was
own keys
discussed
for
at
their
one
own
point?
uniques? Wasn't that the point of that?
Just I guess it didn't. happen,
I could just be tripping.
Well, Valdo maps do work differently to the reliquary keys in that regard.
I need to look into this again because I was under the impression that we intended for that to not be the case. Like I thought we had solved this in the past, but like fever dreams and all that.
Yeah, I was
too
like
many
unsure,
changes.
but
I'm
then it
like,
was like-
didn't we solve this like 3 years ago? I'm just like, I swear.
Yeah, that question, I was surprised when that question was sent to me. So I was like, I thought you guys
The
had
perils
that,
of
but
continual
no.
development.
I'm gonna go look at that after this because I am convinced that I'm like having mega deja vu here. I swear. I thought that we had reliquary key and then all the boss specific reliquary keys and those gave the boss uniques and the base one doesn't because we didn't want them to give the boss uniques and thus I don't know.
That question was sent to me by a juicer,
Classic
so I was like,
Marcus.
oh, I take their word from that one. It's like,
Happens every patch before.
Maybe something slipped up and something went wrong there. I'm going to go have a look at it after this. Again, whatever. The deja vu is real right now.
It
but
will be good to reassess the state of
I
it.
don't trust my short-term memory anymore. So, that might be long-term memory at this point. But all good.
the final-ish aspect of ground loot that I want to touch on for today is rare gear drops that just ultimately they're just not shown on filters because they aren't. They're either very rarely good or they just aren't even able to be good. Like it's not even physically possible for them to be competitive in many cases outside of some things like energy shield gear or suppression gear or whatever. There are some cases where it's like, can never compete with like influenced modifiers or other random where you can jam things together, create the sort of stuff players can make via crafting and other systems. So I have a few kind of questions about like that. It's something I've talked about, a few times in the past. It's like it's always been a thing. Like, how do we make rares matter? I'm curious first, why isn't the tier system being used in Path of Exile 1 for rare drops?
Kind of is.
The
memory strands are a technically more granular version of that.
Okay.
Which I mean, look, we've considered this, we've discussed this for sure, and this is part of the whole drop less but better. It's just it comes with these so many different consequences that we have to then work our way through. And, the memory strands was our kind of way of trying to achieve that. And as I said, it didn't hit the mark for sure. And so we're now trying to make it better. But, and I understand that that's like, they're from originator maps, not like game wide, which I don't necessarily mind either, that it's like at the end of the end game is when the stuff starts happening. But yeah, I mean, I'd first like to see if that can hit the mark first. That being said, there is just going to always be that there are crafting systems and drops at odds with one another. And you have so many people who are in favor of one versus the other. That being said, we don't want to also just be like flooding the ground. You know how much people can juice. You don't want to just be now just flooding the ground with rare items, and it's just like, oh my god, there's just too much stuff everywhere, and I don't know, I
was having a fantasy earlier about this. I was like dreaming about it and daydreaming about like, what would it be like if Path of Exile 1 all of a sudden dropped like maybe only a few rares a map, and I was like excited to identify and look at them. It's like that would be such a crazy change from the amount of stuff that drops right now.
I think that game mode is called Ruthless.
Maybe.
Whoa, man. It's your first time in the Q&A. Calm down. No. I mean, he's technically right, but we can solve that. But the discrepancy between average map and pinnacle, right? We obviously then have to assess, how can you get, if you can get 1,000 times more value out of your map, how do you then not go from 3 to 3,000 items? And we would need to address that because quantity is just quantity right now. So there's a lot of thinking about how that system can translate into that. Because at that point, the entire map would have to kind of understand its value of items already dropped and then kind of stop. There's something kind of a bit weird and complicated about it that I don't quite know how to achieve.
Tricky thing to nail down, but I wonder if there is a world in which such a thing is possible. For rares to kind of be rare ultimately, but not to be not to be ruthless in the sense of it being an item scarcity situation, but just that if we're dropping 500 rares and we're not looking at them through the filter, then if those were rolled into 5 rares and they were 50 times better.
One of the things and again, this is something that was discussed and not going into 328 because it has a lot of ramifications that we would need to interrogate for 329. But an extension of the memory strand changes was what if we just, how the drop conversion stuff that you're talking about for rares, what if we do some drop conversion thing where sometimes rares will drop way fewer rare items, but they'll drop super memory strand heavy items and they'll drop a few of them, and that sort of thing. It is definitely on our minds. I will say one of the things that contributes to this experience, particularly in Keepers, was just the strength of the Breach tree, the strength of the Genesis tree, and while that's being rolled into core, it has been adjusted.
Yeah.
I mean, while those windows they're generally going to be showing you just effectively every rare item that's presented there is many thousands of rare items that are on the ground.
Yeah.
And how is that ever going to compete as well? So then even
to make the ground items like that, I guess, would be how you compete, and that's what I'm curious to see
again, there's so many problems to solve here, and we'll just keep working through them. It's just, again, I cannot stress how complicated all the item model and everything is, and messing up the economy in any drastic way, be it stuff that we do on accident, sometimes we do try to avoid it as much as possible. And a lot of these things are really hard to come back from if you mess it up. If we just make if everyone's just getting 95th percentile items off the ground and the first tier 1 map they run, you're the entire like itemization of the in-game systems just down the drain. So like if we, that's an extreme. That would assume we mess up bad.
Yeah.
But that's what knee-jerk reactions result in, right?
I believe in you. You guys have some experience now with the idea of like converting rarity into tiering up an item, like making it better. It's like, as the rare kind of feeds into it. And that aligns nicely with the idea of this being something that grows over time with juicing.
I 100% want
as you
to
move
do
up
that.
tiers and juice it, and your map's got like jumped from, your average 100 rarity to 500 rarity or something, those items start to become a fair bit better rather than just being, because the way it is now effectively is just more white items being converted into rares, right? And
you get the cool thing with them bosses because they have generally more inherent rarity, drop better gear, and rares drop better gear, and it's not always better, but like the average is going to be significantly better, and I love that. I actually really like that, and I'd like to do it. So
okay, that's good to hear.
We'll just keep trying to get there.
So on the issue of like normal rares not really even being able to compete with like crafted influence recombinated stuff, like Path of Exile 1 it's just got too much cool stuff now. It's not like you want to remove that. So the question is then like, how do you make rares compete with that stuff? Obviously like just having really well rolled stuff can work, and maybe only for specific kind of item categories like energy shield gear and things like that. But I am a big fan personally of things like temple modifiers and stuff like that are a little bit weirder. Now that generally belongs in specific content, but I wonder if there's stuff like that you can do. Obviously we're talking about the memory strand kind of making the base matter, and I quite like overqualityed items for that point as well. Is this something you're thinking along these lines of like other things you can do that maybe fit more in general content? Maybe just seeding the idea if nothing else?
There is probably stuff. It's kind of hard to think of exact things on the spot.
It kind of goes back to your previous comment about, trying to make more, like more meaningful tinks, I guess. Yeah. Finding more axes to make gear matter in a way that's different from a different piece of gear mattering is like one of the most fundamentally difficult things in designing an item-based game, but it is also one of the most important.
The other thing is to not have dropped items be unrecognizable as well, though. You can't get too crazy with them.
Yeah.
You want them to still feel relatively fundamental, and then you craft all the crazy, which are at odds again with one another, right? Those two things, because crazy often can mean power. But yeah, like you don't want to just have every item, you just have to hover and what are the 8 different things that could be considered. And I understand that the item filter can do a lot of that work, but then there are those not using the item filters and not using different types of item filters, and now there's just this insane complicated web that they might have to deal with. So you still want the ground loot to ultimately feel fundamental, recognizable, and something not overly complicated, and then the skill ceiling is what enables the complication of like the knowledge, what leagues am I doing, how am I interacting with all that. So it's that real difficult spot where you want to find really interesting stuff, but stuff that's also fundamental and feels core and isn't overly complicated, and that's why it's hard. It's really easy to come up with all kinds of crazy stuff.
Awesome.
It's coming up with the simple, more grounded things that are just real tricky for sure. And
it's probably why we're here in the first place talking about ground loot, because like that is the more subtle, the trickier thing to get right, whereas like to do crazy stuff through all the various league mechanics that's what you can let loose, so those have become better and better over time. It's interesting. Yeah, well, I'm starting to see now, why aren't we talking about the new stuff? Like, perfect, I've done my job excellently. I have exhausted the ground loot topic to the point now where chat is starting to want me to change topics.
Yeah, you always start with the...
I hit the line that I was pushing for. Excellent.
You always start with the...
You want to start with the thing that people are
of course,
feeling
100%.
Like,
yeah.
I can't relax and listen to this other stuff until I'm reassured a bit.
But yes, would love to talk about it. Very excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, excellent. Mirage, the new league that has been showcased and announced here, is a bit of a spicy and interesting one, iterating upon a lot of different concepts and ideas here. It seems like the execution here is really about like a greater than I think we've ever seen maybe level of integration with existing content, like synergies between content, to the point where like you're actually making it so that other content in this is doing something unique, which I don't think we've ever done before. So
that's one of the things that's been most exciting about it to me. Like, just to spoil one more example, I guess, that we didn't give in the live stream.
Cool.
The way that it interacts with Delirium, for instance, is you can drop a currency which can be used in a cluster jewel to change the enchantment of that cluster jewel, but it doesn't change what's on the cluster jewel. So you can theoretically roll like a shield or a block cluster jewel.
Cool.
You can roll a block cluster jewel into X notable that you want. You could then even fracture it and then use the new currency to change it over to being, I don't know, a brand cluster jewel or something, assuming those are both in the same size cluster jewel.
Wild.
And then you can roll a brand notable along with your block notable or whatever.
Wait, did I miss where you said, like, can you do this just once, or is it...
You can keep reusing the
So
currency.
you can, like, add a modifier and then change it to a new one, add a modifier. I want to modify from these two types and then to end with this type.
If you're the luckiest man on earth, yeah.
Crazy.
But how cool is that?
That is wild.
I love that. I'm excited about that.
Kinda
And
wild.
like it's
One of those cool ideas.
It's like
it's
make
basically
your own
like,
megalomaniac.
you know,
now.
me and Leighton, one of the other designers, got to just design a whole bunch of, you know, ooh, and wouldn't it be cool if we could go back in time and add this one other thing to this mechanic?
Designing crazy is easy. No, it's not. No, that's underselling it. But I don't know. That's exciting for sure.
Yeah, that's wicked. So, like, was
When I
this
was going some
the
crazy
initial
horizons or
goal on the
something
outside,
as
or is
well.
just something happened kind of on accident? This idea of making Mirage really like interact with and amplify the existing content in the game.
The very, very initial goal was I like how some of my favorite designs for League mechanics are like Delirium and Affliction and stuff like that, even Sentinel to a degree, where it's like it augments content. And I was like, well, what if we could do that, except it augments the area and not the League, you know, not like just the monsters.
And then out of that grew is like,
and then later we, you know, because that is a good base, but you need a good League mechanic needs a bunch of extra, like, you know, bells and whistles, I suppose.
Yeah, it's always just been kind of like, oh, it accidentally kind of juices this other mechanic or for whatever reason. So that is that's a whole new level there. It was interesting. So I played through like the campaign with this league, and it almost felt like some sort of like best of Path of Exile league. It's got this like legacy league kind of feel where you're like, there's just strong boxes and shrines and legions and stuff everywhere. It's like, I feel like I'm playing a juiced endgame version of the campaign more so than
the epic thing of
before.
It was a thing where like, this is a thing I would say that is like almost a bit undersold almost, where it's like the impact this league has on the, like, normally you'd think, okay, so there's like an extra little bit of mud flats with some monsters like as a second replicated area. It's like, well, I don't really care about that. But then you're like, yeah, but what if when the Mirage is spawned, we also then ensure there's other bonus content that's currently in-game only generally, or like Mayhem League, you know, kind of stuff. Not that we do that much of that anymore. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, now you've got all this content appearing in the campaign, and it's like there's just so much stuff going on. And I actually think it's, I mean, I understand. Like, if you want to just get to endgame, go to endgame. It's still your choice. You don't have to. But for those actually wanting to engage with the league and the campaign, it's probably one of the most like interactive ones, and it probably adds the most amount of content out of any maybe that we've done before.
In addition to that, there's also a bunch of handcrafted campaign-specific wishes that you know they fall away at the end game because they're not really powerful enough to be competitive with the end game juicing wishes and that sort of thing. But they'll, you know, give you a binding orb or two on completing like the very like Act 1 or Act 2. There's very early ones that can give you that. There's ones that give you like a whole bunch of chromatic orbs. There's ones that give you, you know, a unique weapon or something like that. You know, things that are really useful in the campaign. Even later in the campaign, there's one that'll give you a 5 link. And then those will fall away as you get to the end game. So when they're not nearly as relevant.
Yeah, it's normally I like always interact with the league mechanic, even if I'm getting over leveled. This is one where I think like it's to the point. It's just to the point where you like do the really cool looking ones, and this is my advice: do the really cool looking mirages that have like a bunch of extra mechanics with it, and leave the other ones. You know, just like you'll be able to take it or leave it here, even if you're a player who normally does them all or
check the mechanics,
them,
check the wish. Do it or move on.
Yeah.
Also,
like the wishes sometimes are unique, and
a detail that I wanted to make sure was known is so the Mirage in the I call it the overworld and the recreate. Those are the internal terms we've been using.
Okay.
But the Mirage around the object in the initial area, not the one that you've recreated, does have a lot of extra, you know, monsters from the Alpha Root, as Mark was saying in the live stream. Those monsters are purely additive, so they don't They don't displace existing monsters or anything like that, which does mean that even if you never enter a Mirage, you're just kind of killing more stuff in the campaign than you would otherwise. Like,
yeah,
there's just extra monsters.
Probably how you were so over-leveled.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think of it was like 10, 15 levels over pretty consistently since like Act 1. It's been like, oh man, I better skip over a few zones. And then I'm like, oh, that Mirage looks pretty tempting.
There's there's a bunch of kind of cool stuff as well. Like I know you mentioned as well the other day of, you know, the way the Mirage's area is generated. Like it when you have a circle, you got a circle, right? And so in claustrophobic maps, a lot of that circle is an unwalkable space.
Yeah, we've had
the
this
way that
issue
the
before.
area of Mirage generates is it flood fills walkable space until it occupies an amount of space.
That's clever.
Which means on a map by map basis, it's relatively consistent.
I noticed that you solved that issue. I was like, oh, you guys have done it.
Yeah, our programmers put a lot of work into that. So they did a good job.
But even then, you've got now you can immediately think of that and go, well, hold on. If I'm in like say toxic sewer and it flood fills, I'm going to be so far away from the portal. Well, there's just a button to take you back to the start of
yes.
it.
Yes.
You guys are getting good at this, anticipating my quality of life complaints.
And it's got fancy effects when it teleports you.
Normally, like in the past, I'd come here and I'd play for a bit. And I was like, you guys need to make a quality of life for this. And then, like, no, you guys have done it already.
Part of doing quality of life changes, even though sometimes they're insane and sometimes they're, you know, not as crazy, you know. By doing it in every patch and holding ourselves accountable to doing it, we then often get like, well, hold on, what would we be doing next league for the new content? And
you've rewired your thinking, I think, on this.
Yeah,
I feel
100%.
like I've noticed that at least that mandate to like do 10 quality of life fixes. I think
Yeah, another really
you're
minor
looking for them now.
Another really minor thing is the mini map in a Mirage area is always fully revealed, so you know where you need to go.
I didn't even notice, but that's awesome.
Yep.
It's just like little things like that.
it is a actual terrain generation recreate, so to speak. So you know, you wouldn't get lost either way, I suspect, if you were kind of remembering what happened anyway. But you know,
I mean, in my memory, maybe.
Bit of a sure. It's true. We're talking about not having short-term memory, so who knows anymore nowadays?
It's a funny weird mechanic in the campaign too, because like quite often you're like, it spawns near the boss. You do the boss in the Mirage. You pick up the quest item from the boss in the Mirage.
Yep.
And you're like, I'll just go.
A lot of that suspiciously just kind of worked.
Yeah, it just
which
works. And
made
it's like,
me feel
that's
really,
weird. I like
really
it.
suspicious.
So
like
weird.
there's some bug we're overlooking here, but it's been pretty thoroughly tested at this point. It just kind of works.
I've been intentionally trying to like be like, oh, what if I do it this way? Being like a little cheeky, like, oh yeah, what if I kill PoE in here and get the thing?
I mean, it has had some bugs. Don't get me wrong. Like there was a bug where like if the Mirage didn't generate far enough, you could click an entrance that's supposed to take you to somewhere else, and now you're just outside the Mirage and you can't move, that's not particularly good.
I haven't run into any of those things yet, so you've been polishing out pretty well. Higher level of polish a week out than usually on this visit.
That's
so
good.
I've noticed. So you guys, the team division maybe is working well there.
Yeah, because by having ultimately Octavian and Andrew focused on PoE 1 entirely for that whole span, and we were obviously all discussing. I loved our generally our design meetings are at like 6 p.m. and then they'd just run until we really look outside and we're like, oh, it's very dark. We probably should have gone home. But
the sun is rising.
Yeah, we got these just cool, awesome like evening design sessions and that going on. But then those guys just were cranking from the get go, like
awesome,
and. As opposed to like kind of fighting for resources between the two, we laid out exactly here are the resources you got. If you need more, just tell us. But like work with that for now, get everyone working straight away. And I mean, obviously it sounds obvious. It's like, that's how it should be. But you got the 2 games, especially it can be a bit hard. Like where do you go? What happens? Gets a bit crazy. So, as much as that sounds like, well, obviously it should work that way. It isn't as simple as it often sounds especially with passion projects, because, you always, especially as a designer, you want to work on both things. You want to know what's this cool thing going on over there. I want to be part of that. So you have to also be able to kind of separate yourself and go, you know, I'm just going to acknowledge I don't know what's going on, and when I see the live stream for the other game, I'm going to learn a bunch of new stuff. And so
that's one of the benefits of it.
It is a bit. That's
I get
true,
to go
actually.
into PoE 2 releases with next to no idea. It's like, oh, cool. What, you know, I get to be in the player base, getting the exciting reveal again.
That being said, he's like sitting amongst the other designers. We're all still in a collective, and everyone can hear what everyone else is doing, and so you can kind of still hear stuff, and people will still ask you questions about things that you've worked on before. So, but yeah, real cool. But yeah, I know. But getting off Mirage. But I know we talked about some of the stuff in the campaign, but I just wanted to also give you an opportunity to talk about that cool endgame thing with you mentioned boss, and I got it and remembered another exciting thing.
Which endgame thing with the boss?
The whole map is a Mirage.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Wait, what?
That is one of the. So it augments league mechanics, but it can also augment a few things that are like technically not league mechanics. Like it can augment a map boss, and it will cause it to have some. You know how like when you free an essence monster, there's effects going on. You know, like maybe there's fireballs flying out, so it'll cause it to have effects similar to that. So it's a little more challenging. But the upside is when they drop a map, there's a chance that map is fully miraged. Like it's got a mirage in the map that is covering the entire thing. So you get 2 maps for your map instead of 1.3 map for your map, or however much.
The reveals keep coming. I don't know about that.
There you go.
Wild. I was going to ask, actually. Because you've got this whole, like, it's using mechanics, it's doubling the other mechanics, and it's adding extra monsters to your map. It's like, how do you, make sure that the actual league mechanic still feels rewarding there? Like, you guys are going a little nuts there. So you've got Mirage maps. There was adding supports to skills.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so which I almost forgot about.
The Jin coins.
Just kind of slip that in there as well.
Imbued gems.
Yeah, it's interesting. Don't know what to make of that one yet.
It's
Pretty wild.
at odds with corruption. Just to explain how some of this works. So it corrupts the item is at odds with either +1 level or quality, you know, as gems do. Because, you know, adding even a level 1 support and getting the right support is a pretty good amount of power creep. You know, and so it being at odds with corruption allowed it to be that strong. You know, if you could do both, it's a bit excessive.
Power a little bit. Yeah.
And it isn't fully random. It will look. It takes into account the supports which can support that skill, and it can only roll in those, and also can only roll in the color of the coin. So if you're using a red coin, you get a red support that works for that skill.
Yes, you're not going to get like faster casting on a double strike or something.
You know, brutality is a valid support for wild strike. So you could get that, which isn't particularly
so don't
good.
use the red one on there, probably.
Well, you know, LE damage of the tax is also red and can go on wild strike. So, or sorry, is LE damage of the tax the modern name of
Ed West? Yeah.
Yes. But regardless, like there are, you know, undesirable outcomes, but all of them are technically functional.
Okay, all right. And then there's these uniques that you can like clean up as well. You do one of those restoration YouTube channels, like I found this sword and it's like just a big pile of rust. Let's restore it.
You just scrub it down with the Jin coin, get all the rust off. No, it's more magical than that.
Yeah, excellent. And I don't know if this was really shown, but there's a lot of like. Is this just the campaign or is it endgame as well? There's like a lot. There's these like silver Jin caches and gold Jin caches and.
That's all points. So when you're in a Mirage, there's like there's packs of enemies that are specific to the overworld encounter and packs that are specific to the Mirage encounter. They're actually different monster varieties. And when you're in the Mirage, when the Mirage enemies spawn, they will rarely spawn with a cache, and that cache is just a chest that has, you know, pretty good loot generally. You know, like rare items, maybe currency, maybe div cards, all various things.
Sounds wicked juiced. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, putting some. There's so much. I love the amount of like level of detail gone in, and as you were mentioning, it's a league that is multiplying other leagues, you know, and obviously it has its own thing, and even kind of a cool storyline, and it's grounded, and it's got, you know, obviously a boss, which is awesome as well, but it's got the thing where, how cool is that?
Suresh is very cool.
Oh, man.
How cool is that? Yeah, let's just start the fight. Let me just rip off my head real quick.
Just turn my spine into a star.
I don't need this.
Who came up with that?
I don't want to spoil much of the fight, but a tiny minor spoiler is when you kill him, his head lands and sticks in the ground, and then you can talk to it. And he gives like lore.
Obviously.
Yeah, it goes without saying.
But yeah, even then it's I really it is probably one of the more challenging things. It's just like, okay, it could just multiply damage and life or drops or something. You know, it could just multiply quant or rarity, get it. but it's that labor of love of doing a specific interaction with everything it can modify that really is like, wow, this is cool. There's so much level of detail to this and depth to this. That's that's quite impressive. But it's an undertaking for sure, and I'm really glad you guys did it. Like,
I mean, I would want to do more if I had more time.
Mm-hmm. Something I've seen in chat, I'll just kind of like butt in here in between topics, is Trial of the Ancestors, just kind of getting asked about. I had forgotten about it. It's been a while. And I think it was like was this the one that it's coming sometime? We're trying to.
Oh, look, it's still on the list.
Yeah.
It's not on our most recent thoughts.
Thanks so much for
Backlog
coming.
sort of situation. Trial of the Ancestors.
Kind of is, yeah. I mean, we're getting more and more of these, I feel like, over time, where stuff we want to improve, enhance, re-add, or whatever. Look, I get it. Same answer as last time, pretty much. Like it'll get its day. We just don't know when. It requires more work to re-add than you might think, and it's easy for that to then get in the way of a lot of other stuff that we want to do. And I get it's just end of the day, value and resources, and that's it. Really, that's all there is to it. So
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the well of cool stuff that we want to add to the game is infinitely deep.
Yeah, it's good for that. Was Mercenaries one of these ones that was like coming back or something in some way? Like I kind of
we will do
forgot
that.
to,
We will do that again. I always hate saying when we're going to do stuff, because that's people want a time. What does that mean if there's no time? It's just this nebulous infinite. One day it will be here. But I still like to be clear on when we intend for something to come back or not. We still want to do it.
For a rainy day.
We'll get there. Honestly, we will get there. There's not too many big things that are like still pending that we've done before that we want to re-add. So, but just timing. But again, like there's been so much growing pains with the different 2 projects and stuff. We're only going to get more efficient at this. We've got more of the staff than ever. We're still hiring. Like we'll get there. If Octavian wants more people, Octavian and Andrew, they want more people on that for PoE 1, we'll hire more. We'll give them the resources they need. Whatever we need to do, we'll do it, and we'll just keep going forward. So it's all looking up. It's all great days. So
all right, I just want to say though, like I feel like maybe you could get a little bit more of this stuff done if you didn't do things like make the Reliquarian. Okay, like. And commit to changing its passives every single league.
Okay, yes, that committing to that is extra work. But Reliquarian is really efficient because she uses stats that already exist, right?
Yeah,
we have all of these uniques.
I was talking to Andrew about this though, because it's like, oh man, you actually have to consider like against the uniques that you can like double it up with, against like all of the other ones in there. It's like you can make an acceptable list procedurally generated each league or whatever to like cut down on work. But
when did he stop streaming? I know he was streaming at some point.
Octavian,
but
for
I
sure.
don't know much about him.
A little crazy.
It's fine.
I love having an ascendancy. I love having an ascendancy that we've pre-committed to. Like this is gonna change every time because it means we can do something cool and different every single time, and players will expect that going into the next patch.
And it's
so he still does it, okay.
So just to clarify for people as well, like this isn't replacing Ascendant. This is
this is addition.
Scion has a second Ascendancy now.
When did the Scion come out?
God, like
before
18
I was
years
here.
ago,
Yeah, so
20 years ago.
13 years or something probably. Yeah. So 13 years to get its second Ascendancy. So 13 years from now, we'll get the third class.
Be right on par with the rest of the classes.
No, it's really cool because I really like the idea of it changing. I'm also looking forward to the idea of it. Let's say it's really good this league, and then people are like, no, I don't want it to change. And then guess what? It's going to change. And then people are like, ruined. It's killed. It's ruined.
It is good that you've like just laid that down from the beginning for that. I think it's probably the way to go
you just get the cool thing where you're like, no matter what now, technically, every single expansion will have a new Ascendancy class in that regard.
It's great teaser material.
Yeah, true.
And
it's one of your days done.
But also in the same sense, if it does get ruined,
Ascendancy.
because people are like, the next league gets saved.
I like the idea though. I think it's cool.
You can see things where maybe some leagues it's better for certain archetypes. Might be better for casters here or attackers here or summoners here, or or a box.
Yeah, for the theory crafters, it's going to be like a new little puzzle to unpack every league, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if nothing else happens with Ascendancies.
And we often do these things where we're like, okay, this is going to require work every league. Let's just double check we're definitely keen to do that, and it has to pass the cool threshold. And in this case, it's like, yep, it's cool enough. We're doing it. It's all good.
All right. So the other thing on the skills and classes sort of side of things, this time you went for a pretty comprehensive set of new skills, buffs, support gems, even some passive changes to support the Holy Warrior Templar archetype. So I guess the downside with approaches like this of doing like a specific archetype flavored set of changes is that maybe some people ultimately won't be interested in it, but it seems like I think that's probably a worthy trade-off for the fact that you get a much more interesting experience there. Like, I'm not just like, oh yeah, one skill saw a little bit of a buff or something. It's not really that interesting to change your builds.
You can be a lot more, the upside is you can be a lot more like holistic and take a broader view. It's like, okay, we're not just adding this new skill that happens to fit this archetype. We're adding, a handful of new skills, a handful of new supports. There's a couple of uniques that have been changed to help support this. The Guardian Ascendancy has a new pointer to help support this kind of play style. And that just immediately makes it much easier for a player who might have been interested, but also wants to play a powerful build and wants to have a well-supported build to commit to playing the new thing on League Start. As opposed to if you just add a skill without any of the supporting foundation, then it's much harder. Like, it's much easier for that skill to sink rather than swim.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
What are you saying?
A lot of things contributing there. Is there something you'd like to kind of keep doing, do you think, then? That kind of like, you've done it a couple times in the past, but it's not ever been a super consistent trend doing this like archetype flavor.
It's certainly easier and has its merits, but I'd say we're probably just going to remain inconsistent in that regard.
Probably.
You'll be consistent in nothing else but being inconsistent. It's good.
For 329, and a thing that's come up and probably what we'll be doing is instead of so much a whole new archetype, it's like, let's go back and look at existing skills and how we can, instead of just numerically necessarily change them, actually rework them. Especially things like, early game as well. At some point, rolling magma becomes a little bit boring or has its woes. We know the deal. So being able to go back and look at, there's actually been quite a high demand for people going like, can you just change up the early game, like what we're playing with, please no more rolling magma kind of has been a lot of, and I'm sure there's some people that love it, and I'm not to say we're going to like eradicate it, but ideally for the next one we'd focus less on the whole new archetype and maybe more on, reworking some of the other skills,
Sure.
but that was something on our current, list of things. So we'll see how that goes. But, reworking a skill can often effectively mean it's a new skill.
Like on a personal level as well, one of my favorite stuff to work on is skill and support related design. So there will definitely be more and more attention to that. Yeah. Even if it's just from me wanting to do it, in an extra few hours after my normal workday or whatever. I also have like a personal goal that every, reasonable active skill eventually gets its own transfigured version, hopefully two. That's the new transfigured this league are a step in that direction. I think they're all on ones that didn't have any transfigured variants before. Maybe there's like one that is on a skill that already had one.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like, you feel like transfigureds are kind of like hitting the mark? They're like a thing that's worth kind of keeping updated. Yeah, you're adding more. And is it likely that like new skills come out with transfigureds right away, or is that something you add in the future?
When there's a transfigured variant that is interesting enough and also wouldn't detract from the development time of the base skill.
Yeah, that was kind of my follow-up.
Like if it's a simple twist that is an interesting one, then sure, because I think we did that with one of the wand skills in the last league that get released with a transfigured variant.
Yep.
But those are still,
PoE
now they are skills in the game that are a valid active skill. Like the player might choose as their main skill, so they will eventually need to get one.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. And see, like, I guess you could be concerned that like it's eating into skill designs, but it seems like it's almost the opposite, where it's like a dumping ground for the ideas that didn't make it into a skill. You can like, this is just one little idea for a twist on this skill. It can't really be a whole new skill, so it's the perfect place for it, right?
Yeah, it's also just I can't like stop myself from having a cool idea and being like, I want to do, you know, I want to do holy hammers, but it's a big fist or something. I don't know.
Sometimes you do need to stop yourself having a cool idea sometimes, but, you know, generally speaking.
All right. On the kind of like more balance and skill design, hand casting and channeled skills are kind of just like a rough area I just want to mention or bring up. Is it something that you're like thinking about or still kind of like tracking? I think it's maybe something we talked about a little bit in the past.
Not on the current, you know, as not for 328 really in any obvious sense, but like, you know, not to say there isn't something with exceptional support that might come to, especially stuff we haven't even necessarily thought of. You know, and there's obviously when we add so much stuff, there's so much unintentional usage. But like, yeah, I understand it needs maybe a bit more of a fundamental look at. Still on the list again.
One of the dedicated QA for PoE 1 is very much a hand casting enjoyer. He plays spellcasters almost every league, and the Transfigured Shock Nova is one of his favorite skills, he said, and he's definitely going to be playing that. So hey, there's something. But yeah, it is on our radar for sure.
This is kind of like a new one that I haven't brought up before that someone asked me about. I was like, yeah, you know what? When I think about it, that's a good point. Cold skills, especially spells mainly, seem to be in a weird place where like I try to think of cold spells and I can only think of skills that have been nerfed or like were once great but aren't anymore. I think of like Winter Orb, Ice Hat. I think of like Ice Spear back in the day. I think of Cold Dot stuff. Like, yeah, there's a couple in there that are okay, but it does seem like on the whole, cold spells are in a bit of a rough place at the moment. Is that something you guys have identified?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you.
Sure.
Glacial Cascade.
Not to say there aren't, yeah. Certainly in the more traditional case, yes, they're not holding up. There are some weird cases, but, you know, again, maybe some of this, well, I was just trying to think of the new, like, Frost Mage, but technically it's probably going to be based on something that isn't even, you know, cold scale.
It'll be like Archangel over again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
skill buff.
I don't disagree with you. Honestly, it'll probably come hand in hand with hand casting to some degree. Like, it's kind of like hand casting and spells kind of come together, so you'll probably see a bit of that at the same time.
Yeah, it'll be a package deal at some point, you know.
But yeah, I would actually agree with you. I'm not quite happy with just like,
it's just a weird realization to have. It's like, oh, a lot of my old favorite skills.
And some of them are so iconic as well.
Yeah.
I miss some of those ones. It'd be cool to see a little bit of a resurgence in some of them maybe in the future. If it's anything like what the Templar stuff has gone through here, I'll be psyched in the future to replay some of that stuff because Templar has been an absolute blast. Like, I've been loving running through with Static Strike and the new like extra weapons that attack with you stuff. It's
true. Awesome. It is worth noting, alongside the new holy skills, pre-existing holy themed skills have generally been buffed or you know, maybe
Static
just
Strike, Dominating Blow felt awesome.
Yeah, I'm like real excited to see how I can use some of these more party adjacent ones to benefit my friends with some Guardian changes. Unless the Reliquarians are all good at being a support character, I don't know. I'll have to see which one.
In there. You'll have to see. And
I honestly
and then you'll have to
don't
deal
know.
with making a change next league, of course.
Yeah. Well, or I can make it not. No. It's good for support characters. Sorry, it's not changing next league now. I've decided.
You can't nerf Mark's build.
I maybe feel a little bad for content creators who are like making a build guide on Reliquarian, and
only a little bad.
Every one of those build guides has an expiration date built in.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to put an expiry date in the comments.
Best before.
Yeah, okay, I mean, this is usually the case now. I mean, you always make a fresh guide for every league, right? I mean,
I did have a question about this later, but it's reached the chant levels in chat. Harbingers. I was going to ask about some quality of life stuff later, but we'll slip it in here first.
Do you want the good news or the bad news?
Oh, bad news, please. I love bad news.
Bad news is it's gone for now.
What's gone?
Harbinger is gone for now.
Excuse me, elaborate.
Yeah, we're just
that may be good news for some.
I understand that's like, you know, the issue.
Can't complain about it now.
Band-Aid gone. Look, and I understand that will probably crush a decent amount of people. But there's a little bit of you know, it's a shadow floating with some blue, and
yeah, I know you're not.
They're
a fan
really
of blue
cool.
Aliens, are you?
Well, for sure, but we want to do more. We want to do it better, and there's this unfortunate thing where often, or especially, you know, with a, you know, way we have to kind of develop things now. it's kind of, it has to go so it can come back better, is effectively what we're getting to here. And it will get the justice it deserves. And I'm not putting it in the in the nebulous Trial of the Ancestors bin here.
No one. Closer.
Yes, which, and that's what I'm saying, bad news, good news. It's unfortunate, but in some regards, however, it's going to come back a lot better, and it should be something that ideally people can get excited for. We were going to be way more mysterious with it, and actually have the patch notes and actually we are doing that in Harbinger text, and people are going to try and derive what does this mean. But immersively, effectively, the Harbingers have gained the knowledge they want. They're leaving Rayclast for now, and they are going to come back, and you will find out what that means.
There's a lot of justification.
Without spoiling what's going to happen.
As we mentioned earlier, Ancient and Fracturing Orbs are in the core drop pool. Harbinger Uniques are also in the core drop pool.
The upgraded Harbinger Uniques are in the drop pool.
Oh,
Core
cool.
drop pool, yeah.
Right.
So keeping as much as we can. But yeah, look, sometimes these things just have to happen this way. It always sucks because we're just like, damn.
Also, an adjacent question that I imagine will come up. Horizon Orbs, with the way the new map items work, they don't do a thing, but they would have done a thing on Shaper Guardians and such, because Shaper Guardians are still an individual key to an individual area.
Okay.
So now Blessed Orbs will reroll your Shaper Guardians.
There you go. Nice
So you still have that capability.
Good old Blessed Orbs getting a bit more love.
Yep.
Aw, my baby.
So yeah, but it's got a sad, but it'll have an overall.
This is great news.
I agree.
This is great news. They were just weird blue floating guys that drop pocket lint. I don't know why people like them so much. A lot of the
loss aversion.
Your effects don't even work on them sometimes. They're weird little creatures. It is
probably it's one of the most abstract things we've done for sure.
I
like
conceptually. I want to see what a modern take on it is, because
and also a more grounded in gothic. Again, imagine being able to do the actual art style justice and to do bosses, have bosses that aren't just big portal.
Is it more Harbinger?
Big portal thing,
Yes.
And
the boss was a portal.
The boss was a portal. Yes. Look, good future there. We will do it right. Look, let's be real. It was half baked. And it needs to be done better. So
it was definitely a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
From an earlier
there was always going to be that bad. I was going to be. The patch note was going to be way more ominous, but nonetheless, there's a band-aid to be ripped off. But
I am glad and impressed that you.
Again, we have to be brave enough to do some of these things for sure. It is important, and again, it just means only better things for the future to come in PoE 1. So.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that answers the Harbinger question, which the question that chat was probably driving at was like, could you make the splitters stack better? Let me just solve that problem for you. Fine, no more splinters for you.
I was like, it's gone. You're like, wait, what's gone?
No Disneyland. That's it. We're turning around.
No. Yeah, it is what look. My classic response is deal with it. I guess is the answer.
Yeah, it's been dealt with thoroughly. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. On to my next topic, which was breach and the implementation for core for that. So you showed walls being destroyed by damage, which seems like honestly would solve 99% of problems, because your damage typically is just killing everything. So I imagine the walls just get deleted. But will they sometimes block movement skills or something like that, or is it? What's the idea here? Why do you want to keep them? Why are the walls a thing? I'm sure some people are like, why don't they just delete them?
Look, it's important to have different encounters that have different feels and different things going on, and it does achieve, I wouldn't say it's overly complicated, but it does achieve a relatively unique vibe. And the important thing is when a league goes core, especially, is that there is choice into what type of content you want to do. There are people that like it. There are. Right? And that's fine. And there are now many tools if you don't want to. You can deal with it by either making it easier and making it something you don't mind, or on the other hand, you can turn it off if you're just like, get that out of there. But honestly, also, it shouldn't be bad.
Intrusive is the word I would use. We want it to feel meaningfully different in terms of how you engage with the mechanic, but we also don't want it to be intrusive and unpleasant. We've shrunk the encounters, shrunk the walls. They destroy when you're damaged, or they destroy when they're damaged, rather. We were just discussing earlier, if this is still not enough, then there's other avenues we can pursue, making the radius you destroy them in a bit larger, stuff like that.
Talking to you about it earlier, you were pretty clear that you literally don't want it to be annoying in any way. So
no, it shouldn't be.
And another thing I don't think you touched on there was the idea that it's also supposed to be a way that you can kind of scale the encounter on an encounter by encounter basis, which is something you want to have sometimes.
it's like there's a little bit like if the walls are our problem, it's not that big. That's fixable. That's actually kind of easy to fix.
Yeah.
Now we probably should have done that mid league.
Fair.
Whoops.
Do you think that'll be happening? Do you think that'll be happening? Because that was another question I saw people like. Do you think you guys will have more ability to do stuff after kind of like the first 2 weeks of the league now, moving forwards with the way the teams are structured now? Like obviously, you have to work on the new content at a certain point, and that starts almost immediately. But what do you reckon?
Yeah, it kind of depends. Look, our main goal once a league comes out is to solve problems, and we generally try and make sure that's the case. But yeah, generally then it's like, do you want to upgrade the league with new content versus make the next expansion? And that gets pretty hard to allocate resources between.
I don't think the new content thing is probably worthwhile ultimately, but just the continued problem solving, I guess.
Definitely have more resources for solving issues.
Great.
That is 100%
That's the main thing ultimately, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, like the keepers thing, it's like, okay, the walls, if there's still a problem, just tell us, we'll just keep fixing it. We can test as much as we can test, but obviously people have different levels of what's acceptable and what's not. We try and think of all these, but like, look, we've made a whole bunch of changes. It's going in, tell us how you feel afterwards, and we'll just address it if it's still a problem. Like that's the actual straightforward solution. Hopefully it's not, even today we're like, let's bump up the burn radius a bit as well, just to make it a bit less of a problem. They're now damageable, they're now smaller, hives are now smaller, the walls are smaller as well. And again, you can turn them off. You can just run unstable breaches, of which now it's an Atlas tree. You can have many of them, and you can have multiple active at once, like Breach had before.
That's an old Breach thing. You'd have like a bunch of flash breaches overlapping. That was not available in Keepers. That is a thing again now. That's possible.
Yep.
Oh, great. That's good news.
Yep. You can just run around,
good fun,
opening circles.
So cool. Obviously, there's a way of like kind of be like, oh yeah, I want to see just the circles or more of the circles or something like that. There is a bunch of them.
The whole goal was to keep that. Right,
right, yeah.
It would have been easy to just only have the wall encounters. No one,
yeah.
I don't know if people would have been very happy about that, but like the point was, like people loved Breach for what Breach was. We wanted to retain that as the map to map. So yeah, you can have multiple unstable breaches. You can just run into multiple of them at once and just start killing all the hordes of monsters. That's just what it is. It's just that, like, we then get to have this new epic storyline set up, do more with it in the future. What's Chiula gonna do? Where's Zoff and Ulnatol? Where are they right now?
You were saying something about expanding on the Breach story and Breach Swords, but it's not like you're gonna do Breach 3 next league. So like,
maybe
how does that even
the
happen?
Harbingers taken them? Like, what's going on?
It's a blend in with another league or something.
I don't know. I guess I'll look at the pitch notes and see what kind of build it would make.
I'm talking madness.
Okay.
But the point being, like, there's cool things to set up here. Epic new
they
bosses.
Said they want to like check out the meta,
so to come
I'm
in
not sure
the
if
future.
it's going to be a thing.
Like, I understand people have a bit of attachment to a lot of this older content, but like, these are literal old player characters wearing microtransactions that are bosses, and
they're not to your current standards, are they?
It's not what we do.
Just
anymore.
like Harbinger, they got. Get out of here.
You need bosses that rip off their own head when the fight starts, not
not recolored floaty guys.
Not like, here's some armor set. You're not red enough. Let's dunk you in red paint. All right, now you're a Breach Lord.
Yes.
And every new unique we make going forward could have a Foulborn variant.
Ooh, yeah.
Or be on the Reliquarian.
Yeah, sure. That too.
Oh man, well, be
the
Rusty and go on a
Foulborn
Restoration
uniques.
YouTube channel. Excellent.
Foulborn uniques were pretty cool.
Yeah, Foulborn uniques were, I think, a big win from that. I was going to ask about that in relation to the tree. So Foulborn uniques, something to keep expanding on then.
Yep, the new uniques.
It's a banger.
Some of the new uniques in Mirage have Foulborn variants.
No kidding. That's awesome. Yep. Great. Well, that's happening right away then. Fantastic. On that note then, so the tree is staying, and I think people are concerned in various ways, but people both want it to be still rewarding in some way, but people also don't want it to necessarily be pooping out all of the best items and to the extent that it was. So in what way is it going core, and in what way is it changing?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I think that we want it to still be good, but we don't want it to be good at generating every kind of item. So I think it can no longer make weapons or quivers.
Interesting.
So it can still do the armor, the jewelry,
I think
and
it's just like
obviously
a
keeps the
visual.
Foulborn uniques.
It can make Foulborn unique weapons. To be clear, it's rare
The
weapons.
for
Just
the rare
rares, okay.
equipment. Yeah. So limited the pools of rare equipment it can produce.
Interesting. So it has a more specific role now, which I like for League mechanics.
Again, like that's a general thing where if one thing can do everything, then why do anything else? And then you have the like, if everything can do everything, then what does picking a league even mean? I mean, it's the same discussion with thing like fossils,
Yeah, I'm not
right?
sure if it had a minion tag fanatic.
No. Which I believe we've also made a change with now.
High
Fossils
Zombo.
are
I recommend Fire Warlock
exclusive, or
until
at least way
Nightmare
more
at
exclusive.
least back.
If we did our due diligence
Either to
fully,
Abyss
then
or
fossils
Echoing
should
Strike.
only be coming from Delve now.
Ooh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
we're kind of trying to make sure we're actually confining what it makes a league special to what makes a league special,
Right,
and not
yeah.
just letting it seep in everywhere. So yeah, that with the tree, you know, no weapons for rare weapons at least is aiming in that direction.
Is it like a major power nerf to the creation of jewelry and armor?
It's been tuned down.
the-
Yeah.
6-link
I saw the
rate
6-link
is
thing was
down.
dropped down a bit. Yeah. Is it like 60 fusings instead of like 150?
They haven't talked about
now?
Yeah, I
that.
think it was 1 in 10 items are 6 links before, which was a little bit extreme. So yeah,
It was printing
there's
up.
a balance pass as well, of course, yes,
Yeah.
because again, it's part of that like. How can item drops be good if this is just doing that, you know? So they're at odds with one another, but also now that it's one of many
it's only
optional
from those.
leagues in the end game,
But this
it
is last
doesn't
week
need to
already,
be
no?
doing everything, you know, as good as it was doing. So,
I suspect it's still pretty good from my kind of like cursory glance over things. It looked like the fracturing was still there, I think, right? Like, as you guys are planning on.
Andrew
believe
did all
so.
of the specific adjustments
okay.
for this, so I'm not actually sure off the top
yeah,
of my head.
we're
This is why we need a bigger couch. We need Andrew here.
How do we do that?
The problem
True story.
is always the uncertainty with, this is ideally why we'll have Andrew here in the future. The uncertainty is like, Andrew could have changed stuff literally 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
that we
it's
don't
true.
know about.
You know, someone in QA might have found something that he needed to address.
He's, you know, and I'd like to reassure people, like, the development doesn't stop at the live stream at the announcement, you know what I mean? They're up there, upstairs right now making changes. So, you know, we can only be so certain about, you know, without everyone here who's able to talk about it, but like, you know, we're 99% sure on everything. But
If I do my job well, you guys come up with some new changes that you go do after this too. So
yeah.
the
Well,
idea.
you're very good at coming and getting us to make a few last minute changes beforehand. I like it actually.
excellent, good. I like it too. I get to do what I want. I think the last thing was the Hive Fortresses in Breach. They were initially fun, but they definitely became less so over time. I think just like a lack of variety. They got quite time consuming, and then some issues with difficulty and reward scaling, where like you couldn't quite scale them up all that much ultimately. I think like they scale with map mods, but I guess a lot of PoE 1's scaling power now comes from like Scarabs and Atlas passives and stuff, so they didn't really get that.
I actually don't know if any specific changes have been made to that, and that's not to say there hasn't been.
I definitely saw one, which is the juicing buttons.
Yeah, there's a whole...
Oh, yeah, sure.
The main thing that would impact that is there's a whole suite now of Scarabs and Atlas passives that are related to, you know, the Keeper's mechanic. And
cool,
those
right?
will apply to your Hive Fortresses, and so you can get things like the Enrage the Swarm buttons, which I don't know how many skills you get over the course of a Hive encounter, but if you click the Enrage the Swarm button every time, I really hope you have a good build.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Okay,
I think it is almost like primarily tangential changes like Atlas Tree and systems like that now that they're core, as opposed to baseline changes, but not entirely sure. You never know. Andrew could be doing something right now, so we'll see. But it should, you know, when these things go core, and now you have an Atlas Tree, and now you have a set of Scarabs, and things generally get a little bit crazy with them, and you can have a lot of agency and choice, and it gives us now way more tools to be able to give players choice, so that if someone likes it one way or the other, we can add that, and so if they're not right, we'll make them right by adding different things and interactions and stuff. It's part of the benefit of the Atlas Tree and the Scarab system is that we get to do that with pretty much everything. We get to have 5 different ways of playing every league, you know, and that's awesome.
I'm already excited to, if it goes core, which is not a decision we'll make for a while, but, you know, come up with Atlas passives for Mirage or Scarabs for Mirage.
You're already starting to think about what you can do. That's a
Yeah,
good sign.
have stuff in my back pocket.
Okay, cool.
Half the size and do something, double the size and do something. There's like so many different options there. Yeah.
This is a Warpro because I'm realizing we just haven't even like talked about the core end game. Well, it's like, yeah, you guys redid the Atlas
Yeah.
by the way. We haven't got to that yet.
We put a lot in this one.
So, the change to map, I call it that because it's just like, it's not June's map anymore, it's just map. Just kind of made me giggle the first time I see it. So, I mean, the quality of life around this, for one, I like that you led with that as part of the showcase, is like, here's all the quality of life bonuses that this means. Oh, yes.
I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I know that there's this immediate, and even internally, like you have this like, yeah, this is what we're doing, and people are like, what? Hold on, there's like a shock factor, like wait, but then you get to explain like, here's all the benefits we get from it. Here's the bloat we get to take out, I like to call it, because you no longer need this and this and this to achieve these different goals. So like, it simplifies things down in a really good way from a UX standpoint, and also a trade standpoint. And from completing your Atlas standpoint, like all of these things just become so much more clean and simplified, and you now don't need like three. For example, you don't need favored maps anymore. A lot of what was special about Kirax missions or good about Kirax missions was helping you complete the Atlas. That's now redundant.
You get to trim so much fat. Like,
it's gone, by the way.
There's Harbinger orbs. You got rid of chisels at the same time as well. Finally,
just base chisels, by the way. Maven's chisel still exists for clarification, but it's one chisel for 20 quality, just to be.
Oh, nice, good.
Yeah.
They were just so much. They were just like pointless busy work. I always felt that way. I was like, stupid chisels, I hate them.
You do get bonus quantity in your maps based on the completion of your Atlas. So by the time you fully complete your Atlas, you have actually slightly more quantity than what chisels would have previously provided.
Yeah, I know. You gotta like make sure they're like, oh, it's all right, guys. We didn't take that 20% away from you.
That's 25 now.
25. Right.
Well, and of course, there's Voidstone mods which apply to your whole Atlas. You've got the
whole Egan system.
Yeah, you've got
That's the big one.
And you got more Atlas passive points than before.
Yeah.
So it's lots of like
7 or 8 more.
It's so nice to be able to get rid of there's this thing where like you just can't add infinite systems to the app map device. Like, it was kind of getting crazy, and I know we obviously got rid of the master buttons a way back. Now we've got rid of more of the stuff. It's like getting way more simple, and it's just like the process of using the map device, putting in your map, and running a map, just being and rolling that map, being as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And then being able to 3
clicks instead of 2 dozen. So.
And then being able to, now, I mean, I'm excited for the future here, but being able to interact with your Atlas as a physical space with mods and the stuff like that is really cool. Like, I am the kind of player, I think you are too, who likes to run. I like to run many different maps.
I like having, sort of short to midterm goals in the end game, which is one of the reasons why I'm really excited for the whole Egan system, because it's like, ooh, now I know I'm going to run these 7 maps, and that'll give me a reward at the end, and also increasing juice as I do so. I don't know. I was going to then go into how you can sort of bisect them and stuff, but I feel like that might be getting too into the weeds.
No, I did want to ask you about that, because I didn't realize that from first watching it. It's pretty funny. Like, I saw the blobs and I was like, oh no, here we go again.
There's no Elder Ring management.
You have to make the Elder eat the shape of the blob. Not fully. You have to make sure it stays alive in its digestive tract. That's how you get the optimal.
No. The loop here is you put the blob. Okay, we have a better name than blob now, but that is the internal name.
Blob's a good name.
You put the blob on the Atlas, then you run the maps in the blob. There's no like, oh, I have to micromanage it to make sure that it's doing the exact right thing, and if I run the wrong map, then it's all ruined, and I have to spend 7 hours fixing it.
Especially because you can just take your map and just plot it. If you just do them, right? Like, you don't have to be like, oh, I don't have maps to do this part of the blob.
You just have
amazing.
You just have the map item.
That was really
wherever you want.
With those
and that is
systems.
Also, to be clear, you can still go wherever you have freedom of choice to pick whatever map it is you want to run. Like, you use the map item on Mesa, do it. You use the map item on Strands, do it. Whatever.
You even made that keystone, so like, you don't want to do different maps in the blob, you could still do the blob, it'll just do it randomly.
Yeah. So I guess to get into those weeds is so you say you have a blob that's like a long, thin, map line of 7 maps.
Yep.
If I run the map directly in the middle, I'll then have 2 smaller blobs of 3 each, right? one of them will be removed.
Dies.
And so you can more quickly clear the blob off your Atlas if you just care about the Templar Vault reward.
Yeah, so
but
if
you get a little bit less juice
yeah.
if you do that, because every map that you finish juices all the other maps.
Yes. Oh, that's a really cool
So you have
idea.
this like sort of tension, this push-pull between, do I want to get the maximum amount of value out of my astrolabe that I used, or do I want to get to the vault as quickly as possible?
Yeah, so if you run like all of the outer areas of the blob and shrink it into the one last map, it'll be a super juiced map.
It'll be very
Or you just
juiced.
cut it in half a couple times and then you rush to the end scenario.
Which the main motivation behind that decision is it means that every astrolabe has a sort of minimum value.
Okay.
Like, you know, maybe the meta shakes out so that people don't really use the Blight astrolabe very much for its juicing for whatever reason.
Right.
Then that ends up being like, okay, well, I can buy those en masse and then go just blitz through them, you know, do like 2 or 3 Blights in 2 or 3 maps to get to the vault and get that
the
reward.
rush one.
Yeah, so there's like those subtle tactics.
Clever, yeah. And
wanna spam the
non-annoying.
vaults.
Like, this would be annoying if you had to, like, trace down the specific maps and, like, micromanage it and it was
think
moving around on you.
This is something I haven't explicitly discussed with Mark, so maybe he'll disagree with me. But I think what's really important about these Atlas sort of effects, I guess, these geographical events, is that they're transient. Like, you don't want something that is something you're going to have to manage for basically indefinitely. You want something that you engage with, it has an end,
It's
then
just
you
a
go again.
short-term sort of
Yeah, like
little
this is a
goal
really
project.
good system for making short to mid-term goals.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that is it achieves that goal very well. So yeah, good.
Awesome.
Just also, by the way, his Blight thing was a hypothetical. I know people.
Sure, I have no idea what the players will think of you know, what the, I don't. There will be an astrolabe that is the cheapest one, right? I don't know which one
I
it'll
looked at
be.
you and saw it in the corner of my eye, Blight nerf, and I was like, no, wait. Well, there might be. There might be a
some
Blight.
truth to every
There
comment.
might be a
I'm pulling
Blight
on my
nerf.
microphone here. I'm getting too into it.
There might be a Blight nerf, but
I don't know. If Andrew was here, he would know.
I mean, I had a question for later. I was just like, Blight's a bit buggy and laggy. You guys looking at that at some point?
You're not wrong.
Yep.
yes, but it's just a limitation of that's what happens when you spawn that many things.
Yeah.
You just get too many things, and guess what? Nothing can handle that. So, but that's the kind of thing where it's like, no, they're going to remove half the stuff, and it's like that's part of the fun. And but yeah, like look, if
I mean, you had a Blight Ravage map, so you obviously don't. You're okay with a certain amount of that.
there's a little bit of crazy, sure, but like the answer might end up being like, you know, less objects, but objects are more valuable, you know, stuff like that. It's just a matter of that's a performance optimization issue more so than a balance problem in this regard. Not to say there isn't also a balance problem. There might, you know, maybe, but you know, the goal primarily there is to make the performance not such a horrendousness, and the only real way to do that is to reduce the amount of things being spawned and increase the value of those things to then compensate so that it isn't necessarily a nerf. It's like not a you know, often there's like it's an engine thing, or like there's a, you know, back-end performance thing you can do. And maybe there is something you can optimize here, but honestly, this one is just a straight up like what they're going like, what do you expect to happen when you have this many things on screen at one time? And I'm like, I want all of my frame rate, but then they're like, yeah. So often there's like, is it an engine problem? Is it a like, you know, programming optimization issue on the more like back end or instance? And then it's like, yeah, often sometimes it's just the game designers need to calm down.
Need to be a little more disciplined.
Yes.
Tier 17s, I know you had a personal gripe or issue with those, as you were like, you know, you designed some of that stuff. You felt personally responsible, Octavian, for some of the issues that came out of Tier 17 modifiers and the economic aspects of those. I was pleased to see that it seems like T17s have been pretty much, they're pretty much gone. There's this new Nightmare Maps system that seems to be tackling a lot of the issues with that. So can you kind of like explain how that works then?
Well, one of the goals with we've done a lot of little changes. Well, some of them bigger than others. We've done a lot of changes. And one of the main driving goals was to make it so that T17s don't feel like simultaneously this access to Uber bosses and also just the absolute best pinnacle thing. You have to be doing this if you want to be competitive in the economy, right? Because there's 4 or 5 layouts for T17 maps, and
it was so restrictive.
If your end game choices are there's 5 different maps you can do, but really 2 of them are better than the others, or maybe even one of them is, and so it just feels like
other maps.
Exactly.
Barrels.
So yeah, sure, barrels. And so one of the things right off the bat is I believe they now share the same mod pool as originator maps. Correct?
Yes.
I'm 90% confident on that.
Yes, they do.
Which helps bring them in line with originator maps.
Yeah.
And they are also, if you're eagle-eyed, you may have noted that they are on the outer corners of the atlas and not within the inner quadrants, which means they're not affected by the new Egan system. So
they're separate.
Yeah, so if you want to be maximizing every layer of juice in the game, you are inherently not going to be in one of these new nightmare maps. You are going to be running originator maps within the Atlas quadrants to leverage the Egan system.
And you're choosing between the two potentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, what result? Ultimately, they're still decent to run. You know, they're not like just ultra trash. However, they're more towards the boss.
Yeah.
Killing the boss, getting the boss keys.
That was the idea, right? To make them an access gate for...
And they're more deterministic in that regard as well. Each of the individual nightmare maps is associated with particular uber boss fragments.
Right.
So that's kind of to help give them more identity in that direction of it's the access point to an uber boss.
Yep. Awesome.
It should be... It's definitely just much easier now if you want a specific uber boss to go and kill that specific uber boss, because you have the nightmare key is... it's a lot of keywords. It's like a keyword, but you know, it's like you get a specific map item, so to speak. You can run any of them, and then each of them generally are better at target farming a certain pinnacle. So, you know, choice is up to you, and they don't have that like this is the best juice in the game problem that they were, which is what was happening before. And so, you know,
they were a bit of a chaos sink before. Is that something you're like worried about or monitoring? Like the idea of
we're concerned on chaos on a couple levels. One is that, and the second is, you know, with no Kirak crafts, you know, there's chaos sinks. So, but as we said, we're doing a bunch of changes around currency items and with the whole ground drops, and so, you know, I suspect what will end up looking like is we will be increasing other currencies over chaos, not the bad ones, other good currencies over chaos more, so that we don't just end up with the like absolute infinite chaos. But I can see a world where yes, there's going to be a like chaos will become less valuable this league. Like I don't see how I never can be certain with these things, but I'm like, I have a decently high level of certainty, unless I'm missing something here, that without those two sinks, you're just going to end up with lower value of chaos for sure.
Yeah, divest your chaos portfolio now based on comments on the Q&A.
I am curious if us saying that we anticipate that will have any sort of impact on the actual early price of chaos.
It'll have an impact for sure.
Well,
right?
We'll see.
Yeah.
When it comes to economies, feels over reels, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm telling you now, your chaos are worthless.
Yeah, we're moving. We're back to GCPs. Let's go.
Who knows?
GCP's the trade currency.
One thing, since it was just tangentially with the Kirak missions being gone, there's a lot of mechanics that are capable of doubling or tripling up. So something like, say, I don't know, settlers settlers loot objects, like the mineable things.
Yeah.
So in most of those cases, I believe all, maybe most, the base scarab that adds that content just adds more of it now, because previously you could get more of it from the map device craft, and we wanted to keep the max you could get in a map the same.
Yep.
Nice. You've been making sure that people don't feel like they've been robbed with these changes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Got to be done.
It's just not what we want to do. If it happens, it's on accident. Generally, and if it isn't,
the point was to kill the busy work, and I'm here for it. Absolutely,
yeah, for sure.
Chiseling maps isn't fun.
I've been saying this for years. I feel very vindicated right about now. Okay. Originator and memory maps on the other end of things had these weird pedal powers. They're weird and awkward. I don't know when to use them. I have to read it. It's too much text. What are you guys doing with the pedal powers, man?
I mean, they're gone. Some of the benefits they caused are now on the altars at the when doing the, speaking of keywords, memory strands.
Yeah, we were going through this the other day. Like memory thread strand fragments.
Strands, I think, are the thing of the items.
Memory strands, memory tears. There's one of those.
I can't remember.
So yeah, when running those, you can get them on as altar enhancements, and so the altars are kind of better. But yeah, no,
Also,
they were annoying.
The memory threads are, I think, if I'm using the right term, the things you use to create Egan's story and kill the bosses to help Zana.
This is a problem.
Or to follow Zana. The memory lines things. Those are itemized now, and you can thus trade them to other players. You can save them to use for later. You know, there was previously a problem with where if you were partway through one of those and you got tired of running it and you went back to running a normal Atlas, now you're just kind of locked until you go complete it, right?
Yeah.
So itemization helps avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you get FOMO because you're like, oh no, yeah.
Buy them, you can sell them, you can
Great.
farm a specific one, you
Awesome.
can, yeah.
And
Just better.
that means it's also not like, because this whole thing was like a weird thing. I don't even know like how it activated half the time, and it was like in a separate map device.
Yeah,
in the guy.
It feels more connected to a choice you're making now rather than just
It's
a
all,
thing.
It's all the one thing, and yeah, you get to make that specific decision. Fantastic. We touched on Delve. That's good. I think we addressed that one pretty well. So on that one, then we have a few extra just random unsorted questions.
Okay.
I actually I don't normally include a ruthless question. Sorry, everyone, just block your ears for a second. One person asked me a ruthless question that I thought was actually intriguing. I thought I'd ask now. So in ruthless, you can't hide items on the loot filter, which I was surprised to learn. Made me laugh. Does it have to be like that?
It's the idea was if that with ruthless, really what a lot of what ruthless is a it's meant to mean that you don't have the whole items on the ground that don't really matter.
Yeah, that was the vision.
And so the idea was like if you have to use one, then we've failed. That being said, I don't think that those I would be okay with enabling this, and I'll talk about it. And the idea really is that what I think loot filters can do very, very well. Well, I don't think that whether or not a player wants to hide an item, we should make them not want to hide the item in the filter. Like, that's the failure, not, no, we're going to make you unable to hide items. So if we're succeeding in that regard,
you don't need that answer,
then
right?
ideally when they're making the filter, they wouldn't have any hide lines, right? That's us doing it right. So the fact that there are items wanting to be hidden isn't doing it right. But more so, the thing the filter does really, really, really well is improve, the formatting, highlighting, what's important, escalating levels of what's
Dopamine
important,
levels,
all of that stuff very, very well. And as I'm saying, these things don't have to be at odds with one another. Like, you can do the drops right and still have filters.
Yeah.
I think me from 2 years ago wouldn't have given the same answer to that, by the way. Certainly it is a philosophy I've changed. Like,
Nice.
I might have even been me that said, no filters and ruthless. I don't remember. So like, I'm certainly okay with it. And I think if that point where people are going, oh, I'm going to hide all this and this and this, then we need to be doing more work on the item system in that regard. And which is a universal thing. That's not ruthless specific, right? As I said, if everyone's hiding all the rare items, then we're failing on rare items. That's a problem. However, and that applies to a bunch of things in the game. It's like, why are we dropping so many items if the general is no one wants it? Now, obviously, some people might not, and that's where that comes into play. But end of the day, I would expect it to be. I don't want to have a specific philosophy there, because I think that at the end of the day, if we're like, we don't want you to be able to hide items, that's our fault for making you want to hide items. That's not your fault. So you shouldn't have to have a bunch of stuff on your screen that you don't want because of that failure of ours. So.
On the random questions, so you can't pause on the options menu, but you can pause if you open the passive screen first. It's kind of weird. It's like, why isn't there like dedicated pause button? You have to open.
There was a specific.
We are implementing that.
Great.
It's meant to be you can pause, do whatever you want, and then unpause at your leisure. Not to say that the passive tree won't still pause, because full screen interfaces will still pause, but there was a specific options thing where, there was it was honestly weird when you had a panel that's just left aligned, like pausing you, in the options. I know some people want it, but then also on the other hand, like, having your game paused and then you're changing kind of graphic settings also kind of gives you this thing where you like, or when you're changing certain options, you then can't appreciate the changes. But ultimately, the real answer is implement this pausing system properly. For both games, mind you. It's on our current queue.
Okay, great.
So which game gets it first, then the other game will get it is kind of honestly the race condition at this point.
I've got a couple rapid fire ones. How does Reliquarian work with combination with actual uniques? Has that been like tested? Like Widow Hail, for example?
Anywhere where a stat isn't purely Boolean, it should function.
So if it looks like it can stack, it should start.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yeah. And that's for you guys to figure out the balance.
100%.
Oh yeah, that's our
That's
responsibility.
their problem.
100% increased and 100% increased. You got 200% increased. Yep.
Yeah, great. With the change making fossils only come from Delve, can synthesis maps be the source of synth items again?
I mean, can. We'd have to look into that.
Sounds like it hasn't been considered
I'd
yet.
have to
but
look into that.
I'm not
be
against
now.
it. It's not. It's at this point of the week to go, it's unlikely to be something that makes it into 328. But that is a very good question.
Cool. It has been. It has been seed. The seed has been
Yeah,
planted.
it's in there now.
I have my personal quality of life question here. So, like, I'm just going to ask this in a very certain way here. Like, could we just have like a tiny little area where we can pick up just only the exact same specific currency types? Just, like shards, life force, splinters, just stuff where there's no decision making. I know, because you want to make decisions about what items you're picking up and what items you're not picking up. It's part of the gameplay. I understand that. So just items that have no decision making where you're going to pick them all up anyway. It's just about reducing the number of clips. And I know you want a bit of a weight to them. Hold on. You want a little bit of a weight. You want a satisfying experience in picking those up, right? That's really meaningful. I understand. I feel that. I believe that. But I think, like, something is diminished and lost when you have to click 8 times to pick up that light force and you, like, misclick and your character walks out of the way and stuff like that. What if when you pick it up, it goes, oh, so satisfying. It just gets slurped into your character with this cool, like, animation or something like that. What about something like that?
I was going to say, I would sooner merge them on the floor before doing that.
That was my follow-up question. Since I know we can't have that, it's written on the page. Since I know we can't have that, is there any thoughts on better shard stacking?
But look, honestly, that's I'll tell you what, I'll bring that up again today. But without being able to have a good yarn with Jonathan on that one, we're not. It wouldn't even matter.
Scripted encounter.
When you have things like, well, there are certain levels of philosophical things that are obviously from the ancient times, as I now call them. Since while we were talking about 27 expansions ago, and there's things that are probably 27 before that. There are these things that you can't just make up on the spot for sure.
Yeah.
I'll bring. You come upstairs and bring it up,
Okay.
and then we'll see where it goes. And then you can be the hero.
I'll do it.
Or the villain. No, I'll be the villain. You be the hero. But we'll go up and discuss it afterwards.
I'm
So
just
let's see
trying
where
to
we go.
get a bare little tiny, this little foot in the door here. Maybe just like plant the seed. Maybe.
Hey, take advantage of the things while you're here.
I'll do it. Just point me where the direction I need to go.
No, just come and discuss it with Jonathan and I legitimately, and we'll see where it goes.
All right. That's what
I'm going to say there's a low chance on that changing, by the way.
I'm still going to plant the seed because I didn't ever think asynchronous trade would happen. Or
I don't want to ruin your
so.
hopes, but yeah, I'd say low.
never know.
But yeah, I mean, with how much stuff is changing lately, like even just the base maps and everything, who the heck even knows nowadays?
I know. I'll grind you down over the next 10 years, just like asynchronous trade. Right? It's happening eventually, one day.
All right.
Thank you both very much for a good chat and Q&A session. And Octavian, for the first time here, this was great. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I love these things. And
Going to do it again?
I would like to.
Yes, you are doing it.
You are doing it again. This is not choice.
You're doing it again. Yeah, hopefully we get Andrew on here next time.
Bigger couch. Be back next time for a bigger Q&A, bigger couch, more hours, more of us really.
You just keep doing that every time until half the company is here.
Yeah.
It really, yes. All right. Thank you very much, folks. See you later.
All good. Thanks heaps. Appreciate it, everyone.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Alright. Patches are when exactly? Later, right? I guess I'll check them out maybe tomorrow or something. Very different vibe. It's definitely interesting. Like, I like listening to Octavian as well, actually. Like, he was like barely saying anything most of the time, but then at some point he had some good little things. That's cool. Alright. I don't think I'm gonna go stream D2 now. I'm gonna do more tomorrow or something, so I'm just gonna raid and go. Oh, 7, yeah. Hope you enjoyed it. I feel like Mark at the beginning was like, he was like talking a lot for like the first 10 minutes. It was just like, you know, praising and whatever, and I felt like they weren't really talking about anything. But then, you know, it kind of picked up afterwards. But okay, it's fine. Yeah, anyway. I was gonna raid like Steel Mage or something. How about that? So enjoy, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. We're definitely gonna log in though. Why no Lily? I'm gonna raid Lily at some point. They're raiding Lily, look.
I'm
There you
not
go.
good at the art of stalling.
Okay.
But we're gonna hope they're up.
Anyway.
But yeah, that looked like a banger. That was a juicer. We needed this.